We are live now. Now we're live for like the next 2 hours of your life.
I'm gonna be live.
You are live. You are alive.
Yeah.
And you're vaccinated, and I'm vaccinated.
That's right.
So technically,
I've got my microchip
we should.
right here.
You know, I haven't got my superpower yet.
No, I'm still waiting for mine.
Yeah. Well, what do you want to get as a superpower?
Oh man. I don't know. I'd like to fly. Fly would be cool. You know. What about you?
I have no idea.
No.
I literally can't think of anything I want. Well, maybe the ability to bring people back from the dead. Oh, that was dark. What a way to start the show. Okay, let's scratch that. Welcome to the live stream, guys. So this is Michael Vargas.
Hi.
And Michael Vargas has, and hopefully the audio is good. Michael Vargas takes some of the best pictures ever, and he'll take thousands and show you like 3. So he's going to tell you why he does that. I really believe he's got this massive gallery in his home with just like a wall of 1 million pictures.
I mean, you're not lying. I call it my trash folder.
I'm like, give me my pictures back. I want to see them all, you know?
I recognize a lot of people in here. That's
Yeah,
cool.
there's a bunch of cool people in
Yeah.
here. Yeah, and they come week after week. They kept saying, when do you bring a mic? No, I'm kidding. They didn't. They didn't even know this was going to happen. It was my idea.
Yeah, he ran out of stuff to talk about. It's like, just bring
That's
this
what it
guy.
was. Yeah, no. I thought if I could just get you here and on camera to talk about cameras, the audience could learn some new tricks.
I hope so.
So, no, I mean, obviously you shoot with DSLR, but a lot of people use iPhones. So I'm hoping you'll have, or Android, you know, and so hopefully you'll have a few thoughts in that process of what's ideal for taking pictures so that you have something nice to share. But it's DSLRs, you know, like I've had this one for a super long time. This is the D90, and this has just got a small 35 millimeter lens on there, and it's used for like product shots.
I like that.
So it's a handy little one. I've got a whole pile of lenses. He's got a bag full of stuff. He's got a crazy looking tripod that you would envy owning. I just have regular, you know, just get the camera stable, you know. But when did you start doing reef photography?
Oh man, probably 4 or 5 years ago. I got into that. It was actually Mike Bigger that got me into that. I just wanted to be like him. I wanted to take pictures like him, and that's where that started. You know, he was my inspiration.
You know, I remember Mike Bigger, and he'd post a picture of something, and I asked a question like, "Can we see it under 10K or whatever?" And the first reply was, "And here we go." And I was just like, I just want to know what it looks like in real life.
You know, he's my inspiration, but the thing is, he never gave me any advice, really. He never told me what he was doing or how he did it. The only thing he ever told me was, take a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's kind of rude, but it turned out to be true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
turns to be
Just
true.
Take as many pictures as you can.
Okay, so when I first started learning how to use a camera, and it was before this Nikon, it was something else, Nikonish, I think.
Yeah.
No, might have been Fuji. Whatever it was, I had to put film in it, and I had to take my 12 pictures,
Yeah.
and then I had to go develop it
Yeah, I
and
used to work in a
see.
photo lab, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I had to see how something came out. So, for example, I knew nothing about f-stop, absolutely nothing, no clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I took one picture at f1, then I went f2, took another picture, f3, took another picture of a candle
Yeah.
with a flame. And as I did it, and then when I printed, you know, when they got the prints back, there was a bunch of nothing. And then there was one where it was like this cool flame and everything was like really dark and silhouette.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's amazing. Which one was it? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe that information was on the negative?
No, that's not on there. No.
So really, you had to take
write
notes.
It down, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't know how I did it, and it was the only good shot. And the funny thing is, the room was completely lit when I did it, but because of the way it worked, the way the light comes through the lens, all you saw was a flame,
Well,
the
if you're changing
silhouette
your
at the top of the
f-stop,
candle.
It's probably a higher number. That's probably what it
Really?
was. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're letting in less light, so there's already that light source is in the middle.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that was just one of those things that I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like you said, take lots of pictures, but if you don't know how you had it when you did it, you learn nothing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Whose mic is quieter?
Mike is quiet. I think either Mike or Mike.
Oh, Michael?
Maybe.
I thought you meant the mic is quieter. All right, I can adjust that one
don't
if
know.
you'll let me borrow your
Yeah, do it.
your brick. The trick is always getting this just right.
Oh, look at that.
Okay, so we'll bump this up a little bit and hope, or turn mine way down. That's the other choice. So,
Wow, UK. Steve Mins.
okay, here we go again. And hopefully the mics won't cut in and out like last week.
Cool. All right.
Hey, thank you very much for the super chat, Rob. I appreciate that. That was very nice of you. And then George says, how do you like the skies? I really do like them. Matter of fact, I can make this a little bigger. There we go. I really do like them. I mess with them daily, as in change the spectrum. Right now I've got them. The tank's actually crazy yellow, but the webcam makes it look
good,
better there than it does behind us, which is funny. All right, so taking lots of pictures. Didn't tell you anything about editing.
Oh man. What about
so you went, you talked to Mike. He told, and you owned a camera at that time. Do you remember which one it was?
I was borrowing my sister's. It's a Nikon D5200, I think. It's very, very, very cheap, very beginner.
Okay.
Had just a regular lens, nothing macro. I bought a macro lens later on, but
yeah.
Yeah, I was using her camera and started taking pictures of corals and fish and learning.
And then you had these pictures on an SD card.
Yeah.
And you stuck them in your computer and you just shared them with the world just the way they were, right?
Pretty much at first, yeah.
Don't we all do that? We're like, it's so good.
But I was learning.
It's so good.
You know, I used to bug a lot of people. Hey, what does f-stop? What does that number do? What is ISO? What is, you know, Kelvin, white balance? What is all that? And, you know, just stuff that I, you know, had no idea.
Yeah. Well, for many years, I've done presentations for the club on reef photography. And I'd show up with my Nikon and I'd tell everyone, bring your camera. And everyone showed up with a Canon.
That's what's difficult, is everybody has something different.
I know.
The settings are different. I don't know much about Canon. I'm a Nikon guy.
Yeah, same thing.
I know what you're talking about.
And I remember at the end of one of those presentations, one person raised their hand and said, can I get everyone in the room to contribute some money to buy Mark a Canon so next time he can help us?
Oh, man.
And I was like, but the basics are still true.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how many of you, matter of fact, if you are in this live stream right now, and there's 51 people so far, if you own a DSLR camera, could you tell us in the chat? Or, I don't know, do a thumbs up maybe to represent it. We can just see the thumbs up change really fast.
Even if it's a mirrorless, it's all fundamentally going to be the same.
Yeah. I just want to know if you own a camera that kind of looks like one of these things, you know, or do you only own like a smartphone? Because I'd really like to know
what kind of smartphones are you doing. The people that do pro mode is basically almost the same thing as what we're doing.
Yeah. And there are certain apps you can put in your smartphones.
Snapseed. I used to use Snapseed.
And that would let you shoot in RAW and let you do some real nice editing.
Actually, you know what? Now that you mentioned that, before I was transferring everything over to my computer, I had a wireless SD card that would transfer to my phone, and I'd edit it in Snapseed first.
Oh, that's nice.
On my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so let's go down some basics. What do you expect when you show up to take pictures of a tank? What do you want ready before you show up?
Well, before I just wanted it clean. Now I'm just, you know, now it's like whatever. I mean, just don't clean it when I'm there. You know.
Okay, well, let's be realistic. I always recommend, if you're going to take pictures of your tank, to clean the glass the night before. That way everything can settle, the skimmer can pull out whatever you kicked loose, the corals can reopen and be relaxed. And then the time of day matters too, because if you were to show up at 10 a.m. for a tank where the corals wake up, you know, at 12.
It's going to matter. The more I've developed myself as a photographer, I've kind of gotten away from being so picky with what I ask for or want. Before it was no blue lights, you know, no, you know, you got to be under this spectrum, and you know. But the more I started learning, getting more advanced, you know, in editing and the software, I've kind of gotten away from that, you know.
So there really isn't a certain time of day you'd prefer to go somewhere to shoot?
No, I'll have people,
to guarantee better results.
People tell me my corals look better at 6 or 7 or something, and you know, let me feed them first. They'll puff out, you know. I don't, you know. At the end of the day, I'm just looking for a good usable picture. Something that's nice, I can just show you. You know, I just want to show you what you don't see.
Well, I mean, you're not being super honest here, because you're taking a picture of one polyp, so we don't care about the rest of the coral. Looks like.
Yeah, it's funny. There was a guy that got on me. The guy got on me a while back because I posted something. He's like, "You can't. You're selling that big." I'm like, "Man, you can't base the price or what the coral looks like on the polyp." Yeah,
on one polyp. Yeah.
I'm a macro photographer. I just want to show you what you can't see.
Okay, so what camera are you using these days?
So I just upgraded. It's a funny story. I had a Nikon D850, sold it. Used my D500, and now I'm back at a Nikon D850. Full frame. I'll show you this guy right here. Woo. Can you see it? How do you
let me put that on the screen. We had this trick we did. Do this. Ah, there it is. All right, so you just got to find
there
the
we
spot.
go. That's my Nikon D850. I just upgraded to this guy. It's full frame versus crop sensor. It's better in low light. You know, the ISO is a lot better. I can do more with this than I could on a D500. With the I could actually turn this one back into a D500. There's settings on here
Really?
that you can change.
Oh wow.
And basically use as a crop sensor. So
Yeah.
that's my
That's
go-to
pretty
now.
cool. All right, that's
Mainly, I just wanted more resolution again. I'm starting to print more than I was. So
what does one like this cost?
3,000.
It's heavy.
So, yeah, no, it's a big boy.
How long have you had it?
A month. I got it. Yeah, a month ago.
Okay. So I'm talking to him about buying the D500 he doesn't want. I just figured, hey, you know, I could use that because what I have is the D90. Like I said, it's a very old camera. Came out in 2009. I think your D500 might be 2016,
Maybe,
something like that. And for me, the first thing I wanted all the lenses to work that I own. I don't want to buy all new lenses. And you kept saying your lenses will work.
Yeah, they'll work. They'll work fine.
Because I knew there's a thing between like FX and DX, and that's the full frame and crop sensor.
Well, the thing is, like, so if you put a lens that's made for crop sensor on your full frame, you're going to get vignetting. So, but if you put a lens that's made for full frame on a crop sensor, you won't get any of that. It's basically your 40 millimeter turns into a 60 millimeter lens on a crop sensor.
Okay. And I'm getting the crop sensor one.
Yeah.
Right. Got it.
Yeah. So
which is fine.
if these are made for
Here, I'll just start handing you things.
Yeah, just hand me a lens. What's that,
Here's
105? What is that, 105? Yeah, so you'll get closer than a 105. It's a 2.5 multiple factor on that.
Okay.
What is that? What is it? Oh, it's
that
18
one.
to 200.
That's an 18 to 200
Yeah,
with a zoom built in.
Yeah, you won't really get 18 millimeter until you hook it up to a full frame.
Okay. And then I showed you this one here is a 50 millimeter, just a standard 50. Got it. It was actually not even expensive. It was like $100 for that lens.
Yeah, no, it's nice.
And then
Can't even see it. There we go.
this one is my 35.
35 is a good length. I like that. I'm a huge fan of a 40 millimeter.
Oh, nice.
40 is a good one.
And then this is my 105 macro, which is the heaviest lens I own.
Yeah, that reminds me of. I use Sigma. I got the Sigma. It's cheaper. It's just, to me, it's.
Oh, it looks almost
similar.
exact same. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This is different. There you go. Sigma, Nikon.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially the same. I think there's
Well, one's upside down.
people will argue. People will argue one's better than the other.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah.
I think this is what retails for what, 800 or 900
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sigma's I think a $500 lens or something. It's on sale. So
When I bought my camera, I bought it with the macro lens and the 18 to 200.
Yeah.
And then I picked these other ones. And one of the things I'm hoping to do with his new camera is to get rid of this webcam and actually use the D500 with some kind of lens. I don't know which one yet. Because what I'd like is for us to be in focus, and I'd really like the Reef to be in focus.
I would
and
get a wide angle.
Okay.
You can get a zero distortion wide angle.
Well, that's the funny thing. Oops. Yeah, I broke it. Sorry. Here we go. That's the funny thing about people that do live streams. They want to be in absolute focus, and they want everything behind to be blurred. They want to have pictures of shelves with something, but you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want everything in focus, and that's not normal to the and I even went to the live streaming community and said, hey guys, which lens do I have to use? Which how will I, what f-stop would you recommend? And like, well, how far away is your camera? And how about this? And I was like, oh man.
It's a good one. So this is my 15 millimeter macro. It's the only one that's on the market, but it's really cool. So
let me put it on the screen.
Yeah, this one.
There, I'll just do it like that for a minute.
Yeah, this was made by Laowa. So it's a 15 millimeter macro. The only thing with it, it's all manual. But this right here was something cool for you to use for, you could get everything, your whole room pretty much.
Really? Because
Yeah.
when you say macro, it makes me think it has to be in a very small area again.
No, it's an infinity focus. So you could
that's awesome.
adjust your f-stop and blur everything out, or keep everything in focus.
Take the cap off so they can see the end. The exciting part.
Yeah, look, there's a filter right there. Yeah, there you go. So this one, to get 1-to-1,
Yeah.
it's basically touching the front element.
And what does that thing cost?
$4.99, something like that. There, it's not very expensive.
Yeah.
It's also tilt shift. You can turn it into a tilt shift lens.
What does that
I
mean?
don't know if people use that. You can basically you get a lot of distortion on the sides. You can fix that in camera. with the
Okay.
lens, yeah.
Instead of fixing it in post in the
Yeah,
editor.
There's only so much you can do in post with it. Yeah.
Right.
But this is a really cool lens. I get a lot of shots like this. It's not very many, but
Yeah.
it's a very special lens.
I might have to play with that before you leave,
Yeah,
just to
do it.
kind of
Heck
take a
yeah.
look. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right, so here are the rules of photography. I'm going to list them, and then you can agree or disagree. Because I know, seriously, you've been doing it.
I break a lot of rules.
You burn things, but we're not going to go there yet.
Oh, who told you about that?
Yeah, saw it on Instagram.
Oh man, thanks Justin. Spoiler.
So, I recommend cleaning the tank the day before, cleaning the glass the day before. And get the clean the glass all the way down to the sand.
Yeah.
You want to get all the way down because usually something really cool is happening at the substrate, and you don't want that garbage on the inside of the glass where it's green or pixelated or brown or coralline that spoils the shot. Or you maybe have a hermit crab doing something really cool with a cucumber or something that you're like, oh, let me get that shot, and they can't. So you want to make sure that that is pristine the day before. I would, if you want, you can change the water the day before. Don't do anything the day of.
Yeah, don't scrape the glass off. Don't disturb the substrate.
Yeah. Don't blow things off. Like, oh, that coral would look better if I just turkey based it. Because it'll just close down and you'll miss the opportunity to shoot it. I like the room to be pitch dark. I mean, that's my preference, so there's no reflections. Because reflections are a big problem.
Yeah, sometimes I just stand in front of the glass, or I'm holding up paper or something.
Yeah. Or you're trying to get curtains up or something. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is what you're wearing matters too.
Yep.
If you wear light colored clothing, you may show, or your logo may show up in the shot in reverse, you know?
More editing,
more cleanup.
Yeah.
So having dark clothing, no logos on the front would be smart. The room is dark, no lights on in the room, just the tank is lit. I prefer later in the day. I mean, that works out. If it's dark outside, it's dark inside, essentially, right? And so you don't have to worry about anything coming in through windows or blinds or anything like that. If you do have mini blinds and you cannot like stop the light, then I would hang towels up or a blanket, or actually get the whatever they call these curtains, these blackout curtains, and just put them up specifically for photography. You know, take them down when you're done, and that way, because it drives you crazy. Somebody posts a picture of their tank, and all I see is those lines of the mini blinds.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing is just like, and when you're looking at the tank with your human eyeball, you see a tank. You don't even see the mini blinds. But you take the picture, and it's like half the shot is mini blinds. So it's really important to realize you're never going to match human vision. There's always a trade-off in how you can get things to show up or not. So these are some things I recommend to make it where the end result is better. Now, one of the things I wouldn't do forever was I wouldn't shoot in RAW. I would shoot everything in JPEG, and because it was a smaller file and I could take 1,000 pictures and not run out of room in my memory card.
You don't have to worry about editing afterwards,
right?
Converting.
Yeah, I know. I just shrunk it to whatever needed to fit my blog, and I was done.
Yeah.
But my friend kept saying, Mark, you have to shoot in RAW. That meant a file that was maybe 300K became like 14 megs.
Yeah.
And so I had all these huge files, and then when I tried to open them, the computer was like, well, what's this file? You know, because I had to teach it. RAW is it's a special plugin for Photoshop. But then the ability of shooting in RAW, and which, like I said, you can do on your smartphones these days, is you can actually adjust color temperatures of a photograph because it has every pixel in the 14 megs.
There's no distortion and
right.
No quality loss.
Yeah, because a JPEG is a compression of similar colors to create a big fat pixel.
Yeah, it's what your camera says. This is what it should look like.
This whole area should be blue. Yeah. This one over here is orange.
Well, even in RAW, so if you're shooting in RAW, I mean, even I forget what the setting is, but even if you're shooting in RAW, see if I can find it. Let me see. There's a setting in here. Set picture control. This is on Nikon, so well, it doesn't matter, but yeah, I was gonna like show it. No. So you got auto, standard, neutral, vivid, monochrome, portrait, and landscape. A lot of people just shoot in standard. Standard still, the camera still tells it what it should look like. If you put it in neutral, you'll get more accurate color out of what you're photographing. A lot of reds and blues kind of blend together sometimes, but neutral, it kind of tones all that down.
Yeah. So here's the benefit, and I did a tutorial on how to use Lightroom a while back, and I just said, this is how I use it. And I guarantee you there's people out there that know 100 times more than I do about Lightroom and would say, oh, you could do so much more than Mark said, which is 100% true. Yeah, I was showing you how to remove areas that are blown out, how to touch up little artifacts that bother you, how to adjust the color of the entire shot to where it looks right. And one of my favorite things, I'd take my picture of and the thing is, my Nikon D90, the white balance thing sucks. It does not adjust well in mine. So I'm hoping the D500 will be better.
Yeah, so on mine, well, this is the same thing as D500. So white balance,
that's the fancier one.
It's Kelvin, preset manual.
But that's your brand new one.
Fine tuned.
What about the garbage one you're selling me?
Same thing. So you can adjust the
It'll be
white
like
balance.
that?
Yeah, I don't know
Okay.
if you showed it on the camera.
No,
but
I can, hang on, let me switch it.
some people might want to see that. I mean, that's
Okay.
kind of neat. A lot of people.
How are you going to
don't
do this? You going to turn around?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead and do everything upside down and backwards.
Where am I at? Come on. White
Oh, you
balance.
can turn your screen. Remember?
I don't think I can turn it all the way
Like
around.
the screen
Anyway,
folds up? All right.
So yeah, when you're adjusting your white balance, it's custom white balance. So you can adjust here. Basically, and the more blue you are, the more warmth you need to add to your photos. Whether that be a filter, adjusting custom white balance, Kelvin, or all three. I mean, whatever gets you to the end result, or
Yeah.
faster. Some people take a blue picture and edit it in Lightroom and Photoshop, and that takes freaking forever sometimes.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say. When I'm in Lightroom, I can take the Kelvin slider and it'll say that I shot in like 5K lighting, even though it's a very blue picture.
Yeah.
And I just drag it to 10K, and everything looked daylight. And it was one move.
You know
it wasn't a lot
what's
of work.
really
I
neat
loved that feature.
About that is you could save that as a TIFF and then reopen it and then adjust that white balance even more.
Oh,
So
nice.
if it's a solid blue tank, then you can really fix that.
I didn't know that. I never thought to double edit the same picture twice.
Save it as a TIFF. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's a uncompressed edited file.
Tricky. See, I knew I'd learned something during this chat.
Or just
That was
get a
great.
filter. I mean,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so a lot of us like to put like a gel on the front, and they have gels for the larger cameras as well. The trick is getting the right color that you like, and a lot of times you almost want like 9 shades of the gel to get that just right for what you're doing. But the beauty of the higher end camera is that you can really, like you just showed, really fine tune the white balance way before you take the first shot.
Yeah.
But if you can adjust white balance, and Canons do it too, so I'm not just Nikoning you guys to death, it's really important to do that. And if you don't teach the camera what white looks like under your blue lights, the pictures are always going to look wrong, and you have to spend all that time fixing them before you can share them. Michael is so adept at the pictures he takes that as he takes it and he's looking on the viewfinder on the back, he'll take his iPhone and take a shot and share that to Facebook and say, check out what I just took a picture of.
Well, most
and it
of them
looks
is-
pretty close to good because he's already done 90% of it before he even offloads it.
I almost adjust the white balance for every coral, every shot, every.
I
coral,
bet you do.
Every depth, it gets bluer the deeper you go. Everything got to change. That's just being picky, though. That's me.
No, I mean, well, that's how you get where you are. I mean, he takes beautiful pictures. I want to show you guys his Instagram. You got to tell me where to find it, though. Let me open this up. And Instagram.com. And then what's your IG name?
M. Vargas.
M. Vargas.
Photography.
Photograph.
I hope so. I might have got that wrong.
See if it's right. Is that you?
I don't know who that is. That's a good.
That's a
picture.
different guy.
It's a great page.
I always share his
I think
stuff.
I don't even know my Instagram. How bad is that? I think
Tell
it's
me your
Michael
Instagram,
Vargas
and I'll
Photography.
go to yours.
I think Facebook is M. Vargas. Yeah, Facebook is M. Vargas.
Okay,
No,
so-
that's right. Oh, you got it right. Underscore. Sorry.
M. Vargas Photography. If I can spell it.
Photography.
Okay, this looks right. All right, so
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
share
yeah,
this with the
cool.
world now that they can
Yeah.
see it. So this is his page, and he's got these
that,
beautiful, stunning
peacock
images.
shrimp. Peacock mantis shrimp.
Yeah, right there.
Took 2.5 hours edit.
Did it?
Yes.
Don't make me log in. Come on. All right, we'll just do it this way. Anyway, I want to make sure I can see what you guys see. I mean, he's got these beautiful. Oh, I know why it's making me log in. I'm in Safari. If I had used my my Chrome account, but Chrome eats up so much RAM. I just like to run Safari on the streams. But look at these beautiful pictures he takes. And recently here's a picture that's on metal.
Oh yeah. The
And it's so shiny, and look at that, all the reflections of the room.
Yeah.
You can't get a good picture of it because it reflects.
Yeah.
I couldn't get pictures of these two fish from Jason.
They're awesome prints, but yeah, that's the downside to metals is how glossy they are.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, but they're beautiful. So, I mean, this is, if you aren't following his page, you should. This right here is completely my fault. The one my mouse is on says 80 hearts. That is actually a close-up of the blue part of a tuxedo urchin. And Michael took a picture of an urchin. I said, Michael, you got to zoom in. You don't know what you're missing. I said, go look at the blue skin.
Yeah.
And he was like, what are those things? They're like tubes. He was like, I can't
Those
believe
little
my eyes.
Purple stringy things.
Yeah, and the little
What
sweepers are in
those?
there.
Yeah.
I wish we could click on it, but we can't. Anyway, you guys go to his Instagram. Let me grab this. I'm going to put it in the chat so you guys can click it. And that way you guys can go enjoy it yourselves and check out some of his work. He does beautiful, beautiful work. All right, that was that. Come back to you guys. Do you do a lot of freehand photography?
Yes.
I was sure you're gonna say no. You're ruining my interview. No,
I mean, I
because you use a high ISO.
Well, no, good mixture of both. It's it kind of really depends on what kind of picture I'm going for. I'm trying to get a lot better at freehanding. What I notice on ISO, the grain and all that, you probably wouldn't notice. And I'll notice it at 300 or 400 ISO. You probably wouldn't notice that. But even on printing, you can jack it up to 2000 ISO. You won't ever notice that.
I was so believe it. I mean, I hate to admit it, but I'm a perfectionist, and while I'm not perfect, I strive for it all the time. And I remember I was trying to get a picture of a copepod with the gear I own. And I did everything I could to get this thing. And then I tried to get a picture of a brand new peppermint shrimp that fry that had released. Okay. So it's this little tiny speck. And I wanted to get this thing, and I did everything I could in Photoshop, and then I called up Jessie and I complained, why can't I get it better? And she said, you literally have used every bit of the gear you own. There's nothing more you could do with that. You have to upgrade your camera like to full frame or something.
The thing is, with more ISO, the less sharp, or you won't get as clean of a picture.
Right. So, and I would use low ISO.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I did was I got these stacking tubes that you would put on your camera.
Oh, that makes it harder.
So this would let me, I take this piece here, I put it on my camera, find the dot. And then you would take your lens you're going to put on there, which might be like my macro lens. This is mine, right?
Yeah.
Nikon, yeah. Because you said Sigma.
Yeah.
Find the dot.
I don't know if I have something similar.
So now your lens has become longer because of this piece right here. But this piece right here, sorry, I got to point to the right spot for you guys. So this is the insert. And you can actually have one of those, or you could have a medium-sized one, or even a skinny little tiny one. And what it's doing, it's moving the lens away from the mirror in the camera this much, or this much. That's what it's actually doing. There's nothing inside. There's no magic in these, other than it does have the contacts in there so that the lens can communicate with the body and the autofocus will work, which was important to me. There are people out there that have some that are just like dummy extensions, and you have to do everything yourself, and it's very tedious.
That's challenging. Yeah, I got a few lenses like that.
Yeah. So I liked using this, and the thing is, you had to be on a tripod. The camera had to be absolutely stable, and my tripod would shake just from touching the button. So I tried the remote trigger, and just the mechanism of the motor going click click shook it.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, forget that. Forget the tripod.
You have a very steady tripod.
So I put my walkboard in front of the aquarium, and I stacked it with books.
Yep.
Big books. And then I put the camera on top of the books where it could not move, and I lined it up with my subject, and I got the shot. And I was very, very happy with it. Do you want me to put you away? You can't be noisy on the stream. You want to go to your room? You need to be nice.
Oh,
Jack is feeling left out lately.
Yeah.
Take this off. All right, that's going to help a little bit with the jingling. Okay, so extension tubes are a cheap man's solution to macro photography.
Yeah,
it definitely will help give you some extra abilities.
It's like your Raynox. That'll help too. It's similar to that. This will let you focus closer to whatever your subject. I'm trying to figure out where the camera is. There we go.
It's right there.
Yeah.
It's this thing.
That's
That's
the
the camera.
150 or 250. There's 505. It just depends. I always recommend a 150.
So this part goes on the body, and then your lens goes onto this part.
No. It just clips on.
Oh, it goes on the end of the lens itself. Gotcha.
Yeah, like that. Basically, that.
Wow, it looks like it held on magnetically.
Yeah. So that it's springs, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if you can only focus, I'm trying to get this right again. There we go. Here with the Raynox, you're a little bit closer.
Okay, another thing. If the things are near the glass, it's a lot easier to get the shot than if it's deeper in the tank. And a lot of photographers like to bring the subjects closer to the glass for the session, and that way they can get the shot. And one of the things you like to do is rig some kind of box right against the glass, and that way you can put something inside it, and you have no background, nothing to distract.
Depend. I mean, yeah, I did a
Like a
I did a
zoanthid
blue ring
or-
octopus recently. I did that. I put
Yeah.
it in a box and
Yeah, and it
other
was
than
right
that,
on the
it's-
glass.
Other than that, I edit it all out now.
Right.
Or a new lens. My new lens is a 150 millimeter macro.
That thing is awesome.
So, yeah.
Look at this thing.
All manual. That's the thing.
It's a
that sucks
Canon,
about it,
man. Jeez. Well, didn't they have one that had autofocus?
yeah. Sigma makes one, yeah, but this is only
Dirty. Look, it's
only-
got salt spots
It's only
on it.
$500. The other, the Sigmas, I think, uses 1100. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you sold more prints, you could get a better lens.
I just take pictures. I need to start selling more prints. Be like,
There you go. So everyone go buy his stuff so he can get a better lens, because that thing is garbage.
Mark. Yeah, I'll sell it to you for 200, Mark.
I don't want it.
It's all manual.
Okay, so speaking of manual versus autofocus, a lot of us like, when we first get a camera that's like this, a DSLR, they are used to auto. Auto is just, it takes care of everything. It knows what to do, and you take your shots, and
like
it's
auto,
very
yeah.
simplistic. But I switched to something called aperture priority, and that was my go-to for many, many years. And with aperture priority, whatever I set my f-stop to, everything else the camera knew what to do in conjunction with that number. And where, for example, you've talked about ISO several times. So the rule of ISO, the lower the number, the faster the lens, right?
Well, yeah.
And less pixels. It'll be less pixelated. As you go into higher numbers like 800, 1000, 1600, it could look grainy. It's possible, especially if you're cropping it and zooming in a lot in the final product. So when you, I kind of said it backwards. Yeah.
So
The lower ISO is slower.
The
It's-
less light it'll let in.
Right, so the lens is open longer.
compensate.
So you do click and it's like,
Yeah.
versus if you set it to like 1600 or 3200, it's like,
But your f-stop is what that little hole that
Right.
lets the light in.
how much
So,
light is getting in,
yeah,
right?
2.8 is very, very wide open. F7, F8 is smaller.
Yeah, and the point of the ISO, like for in the old days, you used 100 or 200 for outdoor pictures. You used 400 for indoors. That's when you're buying film, real film that you put in the camera, and you'd have to buy the right film for the event. And that way, if you wanted to go to a wedding or a birthday party, you got
I
400
remember
because
that,
you're in
yeah.
the house. But then you'd have a party outside, and you're like, you didn't want 400, you wanted 100 or 200 because it was quicker, and it would look cleaner and more vivid. So that was a benefit. And with our tanks, we, if you're trying to shoot fish, you probably want to be 800 ISO or higher because fish are active and moving. Where if you're trying to take a picture of a mushroom that's just doing this, you could be 100 or 200 and probably not even see any kind of motion.
What's cool is if you're freehanding that, you can set it to, I don't know what it is on a Canon, but Nikon, it's, oh damn it, I just forgot. It's
Continuous autofocus.
There you go, yeah.
Yep.
Use that, there you
Yep.
go. Use
AFC.
that, set up back button autofocus, and what that does is for me, it's this button. So if I hold that down, it's continuously focusing it. If
Yeah.
it moves, it'll readjust.
You'll just keep finding it. It's really neat.
As you move, or the fish moves, or whatever, then it's always you're guaranteed to get a better picture and more in focus. And
What's the trick
Keep
of
it
getting
right.
a good picture of a fish?
that right there.
Just a continuous focus? I saw, someone told me once, the most important part of taking a picture of a fish is the eye. And if the eye is in
focus
focus,
on the eye, yeah.
everyone likes
It's
the
like
fish.
Portraits,
And if
focus
the
on
eye is
face.
out of focus, the shot's crap.
Yeah,
there's
face,
like,
eyes.
yeah, the eye has to be
feature.
right.
I've gotten into using a flash now on fish, and shooting through the glass works pretty well, but you want to really be top down. If you
Okay,
can
that's why I
flash,
brought
yeah.
this over here for us to
Okay.
talk about this.
Oh, all right, yeah.
So here is a very old dusty lens. I mean, a dusty flash. It's
Yeah.
an SB 800, I think,
Okay.
and the speed light.
Yep.
Yeah, 800. And I've got this long cable on here that would mount to the top of the camera. And instead of having the flash that's on the camera, the sticking straight up, because you have your camera, and we'll just do an example. Here's my flash sitting right above my lens. And when you take the shot, a lot of times the top of the picture will be lit and the bottom half will be dark because the flash made a shadow on my ginormous lens that's sticking out too long. If it was a short little lens, it wouldn't be a factor, but because it's a long macro lens or even an extension tube on the end to where it's this long, I will have half a shot of light and the lower half will be all shadowed out because it can't get past it.
Right.
But if you have this guy remotely hitting light from the side, here you are doing your shot, here's your light from this angle or this angle, and you find your sweet spot, to how you want to light the fish. And so owning one of these things can be very beneficial for taking pictures of fish or
yeah.
even corals.
Like on my Instagram, the blue ring octopus, that one was lit top down.
Now, you're not using a flash like that. You're using more Kessel lights, right?
No, I'm kind of getting out of that, but for the fish, yeah, I'm using I don't think I have it at home, but yeah, I'm using a speed light.
Okay.
I have it on a tripod, and it, my if I can get it.
We got to see this tripod. Let me switch you to the
Yeah.
other camera. You got to see this thing. And I'm going to adjust it.
Oh, okay.
You'll have to tell me when you're in the shot because I can't see what you're looking at now.
I'm in the shot.
You're in the shot?
Yeah.
That's good. So look at
this
that thing.
one. There we go. All this is it's just a normal tripod, but this piece you can buy on its own, and this one is what I use to adjust for all of my top downs.
Okay.
I'll attach my flash to it, and I attach the ball head. This is separate, but this helps with
Yeah.
just positions.
All the angles.
But anyway, I can either hook my camera to it, do a top down without touching it, or put the flash on there, and the flash I can put it above a tank and get a good shot like that of fish or whatever it is I'm photographing. That makes it a lot easier.
All right. I have a question about taking pictures in the tank when the flow is turned on versus turned off.
Kill me, Mark.
Which is better for you? Flow on or off?
I like the flow off. A lot of people, they don't want it off, or they'll tell me a few minutes or put it on low flow. And obviously you can't use it 100 ISO.
Yeah.
You probably can't use 300. It just depends. 300, 400, 500 ISO. There's a couple shots I did at a wholesaler. That was a situation, and it was I think 800 ISO. When I shoot thin boost tank, I think that was 1200 ISO. So I have settings memorized now of everybody's tank. So
Yeah.
if it's a new tank, it's just quicker to start from scratch, reset my white balance. I can get pretty close, but you got to take time to really dial everything back in.
One of my favorite things to do if you own a camera like this is to make it a routine to take a full tank shot of your aquarium every month. And that way, after 12 months, you can actually see the growth. It would be really cool if you had everything exactly the same every time, so that way you could do this weird stacking thing or do an animated GIF and watch it go and grow.
What's neat is you were talking about all the files I probably have. So
Yeah.
Brad Besset, I started out photographing. I got bored with my tank and started going over there, see Brandon Hooten, Robert Tonder, and all them guys over there. And as I started bouncing around, I started visiting Brad more, and I think I've shot his tank 15 different times. And I have
The succession?
yeah.
Oh,
of
that's
his
nice,
growth, and
yeah.
it's really neat. He's probably never seen it, but he's gonna get on to me about that.
It's really a good thing to do, but it's hard to take a full tank shot. Like I said, you have to do all the things I mentioned earlier, dark room, maybe turn the flow off, maybe don't. I like the flow on, honestly. I like it to just be what it was that day.
Stitch the pictures together. If you
But-
really advance, you can stitch the pictures together.
Or you just do a blog and you just show each month, January, February, March, and let them just scroll up and down and look at the comparisons. Or do a January to June to December, 3 shots. And you can actually show the coral growing, over those period of months. And one of the things I have always tried to do is keep my hands out of the tank and not rearrange. So that way, if there's a cool green coral over there, I want it to stay in that spot and show it growing. But if you move it all over the place,
Yeah.
your comparisons of months won't make any sense because it's all been rearranged so many times.
Yeah.
The nice thing about taking a full tank shot is you don't need a really high f-stop. So let's talk about f-stop for a minute because that is a very important one. And
Very important.
I use it with all my photography, whether, like I said, aperture priority or if I just shoot in manual mode. So if you wanted to take a picture of something very small, like let's just take this lid off a water bottle. Let's say this is a frag plug, okay? And there's a little stick sticking off of it. If I do a very low f-stop, I will get the front of the frag in perfect focus. But if I go with a higher f-stop, I will get all of the frag in focus. And if I go with an even higher f-stop, I will get all the frag in the background in focus.
And all that matters depends on the lens too.
Yes,
40
absolutely.
millimeter. I like f8 on a 40 millimeter.
Yeah.
60 millimeter f8 on a full frame, same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've gone up to f29, you know, depending on what I'm doing.
And some of the newer cameras definitely go that high. My old one definitely wouldn't go that high.
If I'm not stacking, then
Yeah.
Stacking is that's a different ball game. But yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, how much do you want in focus for this shot? You know, what are you trying to accomplish? Now, if you were trying to take a picture of the Shadowcaster, which is 20 inches front to back, if not more, and you want all of that to be in focus, you're gonna have to be far enough away to get all of it in the frame. You're gonna have to pick a higher f-stop. It could be f18 or higher to get all of that in focus.
What's neat is the further you are away, the more it becomes in focus. So you can still shoot f4.
Like 4 or 5, yeah, 5.1.6 or something.
Maybe,
yeah,
but you gotta be further, you know.
that's
back.
true. As you back away, you actually can, because then it's this whole thing about the distance of the focal area. So, like I said, if you're using a macro lens and it's this much is your focal distance, it's very, very tight because it's a very low f-stop. You go with a higher f-stop, it widens. But if you're using a regular lens that can shoot distance, like you're taking a picture of your dog in the park, it's going to be an area that's much wider, but grows exponentially on the f-stop as you change it. So you can have the entire park in focus, or you can have the dog. And that's what a lot of people these days call portrait mode on your phones. And you take a picture of someone at a picnic, and this woman is sitting at a picnic table, and she's in beautiful focus, and the trees in the background are soft.
Yeah.
And that look is very
Appealing.
yeah, people love that because it draws your eye to the subject and not like, well, what am I looking at? What do I, you know, am I okay? It was a beautiful day. You're like, no, it's the girl. You're like, oh, okay. What's she doing? You're like, no.
Yeah, most people don't want that with the coral. They want the whole thing in focus,
Right.
you know.
And then let's say you're trying to take a picture of this reef, the full length. This is 84 inches long. So you put your camera at the end and you want to get this really cool picture of the reef, and you might even want a reflection off the front glass so it looks like a double reef. So you need to make sure that you are picking a spot about 1/3 into the reef to focus on, and you have your f-stop around f11 or higher, and then the rest of it will be in focus. And as soon as you click it, that's the beauty of digital photography. You can see how it looks like, oh, let me change to f18, let me go up, or no, let me tighten that up because it's too much. I'd rather get this in focus. That coral on the back is kind of hideous, so I'll make this the focal point, and you'll just know there's coral back there, but you won't know how bad that coral looks.
Yeah.
You know, so you can kind of make the scene look better.
Yeah.
And those are really important things to know. Now, in my own use of my Nikon D90, which I don't know what's going to happen with the D500, but when I'm in manual mode, I'm twisting 2 different knobs with every shot. I adjust I set my ISO and I'm done. That's permanent. And because I don't need to keep bouncing around because I'm shooting everything around the same tank under the same lighting. And then I will pick my f-stop, whatever number it is, and then I am adjusting something. I have no lens, I have no memory card in here. But when I'm taking a picture, let me just try and remember what I do. So I'm looking through
Shutter
here.
speed, probably. You're probably.
I'm adjusting the graph on the bottom is what I'm trying to remember.
Shutter speed.
That's what it is. Yeah, and so I will adjust it. There's a little graph in the bottom of the frame I'm looking through the viewfinder, and all I'm doing is moving that line to the middle. Because a lot of times you press the button halfway and it like goes, and so I bring it all the way to the middle, and I take the shot, and usually it looks right. And if it doesn't look right, I will bump it 1 notch down, sometimes a notch up. But I like that middle line, and I've been shooting manual forever. It's just, I'm so used to it, I can barely describe it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what do I do?
Yeah, just as long as you're making sure, like if you're on your shutter speed or you have a 105 millimeter lens, make sure your shutter speed is faster than that. Otherwise, you will get blur or camera shake.
Right. And camera shake is a big deal. So like I said earlier, you can use a remote trigger. Sometimes it's an actual thing with a battery, like a Bluetooth or UV or
Yeah, I got this really
IR.
fancy one that I ordered not too long ago. You can hold it up.
Let's see what we got here.
It's like an earpiece. Yeah, that's what I use. Oh, you can.
Oh, and this is the
slide-
clicker?
Yeah, you can slide. There you go. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And there's your click, click, click.
Yeah, and this just attaches to your
And that fits on the camera?
right
Nice.
there.
Oh, how much is that?
One something. There's
Okay,
cheaper
anyway,
ones.
I mean, then there's the actual that's wired in that you can use. And what it does is it gets rid of the shutter. Now, I'll tell you a trick about taking pictures of fish, because people care about the fish so much. They're big about fish. And so my trick for taking a picture of a fish is you get the tripod set up, you get your lighting set up, everything's perfect, and you just watch the tank for a while. Don't take the picture, just watch. And see where that fish keeps going. And they tend to do laps. They have a routine. This is what they do. And you find a spot, like let's say there's a spot right there in front of that hammer coral. It always seems to, like right there, the purple tang is drifting into my shot. So I will actually focus my camera on that spot and wait for the tang to swim into the frame and take the picture. rather than trying to chase the fish and catch it, because invariably everything will be it'll be overblown, it'll be underlit. But if you can find that spot and wait for the fish to join the scene, it's sort of like when they're at the racetrack and they've got the cameras at the finish line.
Yeah, waiting. Yeah.
And they wait for the car to come, and they've got their finger on the button, or it's computerized, I'm sure, and it goes brrr, and it takes 1,000 pictures in 1 second, so you can see the bumper, and they know who won the race. It's the same principle. You're just waiting for the thing to come into the frame and take the shot. And if your camera has burst mode, that's nice. It's very convenient, and you can find the one you
with the
care.
burst mode, you can
Nice.
take 10 shots a second.
My Fuji had all this cool stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh, where'd you get that?" And it was a built, the lens is built in. You couldn't do anything. I got the best pictures of that darn thing, and when that camera finally died after like 6 years, I couldn't get another one. I was so sad. But this has been a very good camera. I learned a lot. But the thing is, you have to understand all the pictures you take, no matter how much you think they look good, when it's time to share them with the world, they never do. So you do have to put them through something.
Screen.
Yeah, I know. You got to put them through something. You have to put them through Snapseed or Photoshop or Lightroom or whatever software you want. Don't use Paint. But no, find yourself some decent software. Photoshop's like $10 a month, which I don't like paying for it, but I just do it.
I think it comes with a bundle, Lightroom and Photoshop.
Yeah, you get a bunch of. It's actually way more than I need. I just need those two things,
Yeah.
and I'm paying $10 a month now. It's like, all right, but that way you can actually adjust things, clean them up, blow them up, make them ready. And the beauty of it is that when you save it, it can be saved for something ginormous, like a huge print on the wall, or if you want to make a banner for a frag swap, or if you wanted to, put something on metal like this guy does. You have these fantastic images because you're doing a lot of work in post edit to get rid of all the things in the background that spoil the shot, to heal areas that have a little thing that blew into the scene that didn't belong. Some little, the little fuzzies, the floaters.
That is the worst when you get a coral and there's bubbles on it or algae, and you got to go in there and spend an hour removing it all.
Oh, there was this one time I took a picture of Spock years ago, and I threw it in. I guess it was Photoshop. And Spock was doing this turn, and she was just so pretty. And I had like 8,000 artifacts.
Yep.
And I'm just like, click, click, click.
Clone stamp or heal brush.
I did the healing brush like a billion, I don't know, 5,000 times.
Yeah.
And then you could click something in Photoshop to hide what you've done, so you could see how much is still left to go. And then I bring it back, because I'd have like 1,000 little circles I'd made, add some more, I missed a few more dots, and then I finally got rid of them all, and I had this really nice picture. I'm like, oh, that's a great shot. I'm like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
And then one guy did pictures of my 29-gallon years ago. I had a really pretty little tank, and this guy was just starting reef photography, and he says, Mark, I want to shoot your tank. And he did his thing, and then he went home. And then he complained to me. He's like, oh my God, Mark, you have so many scratches on your glass. So many scratches. He goes, I will never photograph that tank ever again, ever. I don't care how much money you have. And I was just like, I'm sorry. And it made me think I need to replace, the tank.
You get better though, learning to remove things and artifacts and
or make sure you're not shooting through the bad spot.
Yeah.
You'll just say, well, okay, I can't use this spot. I gotta, just avoid it. Because sometimes scratches happen in our tanks, and it really will spoil an opportunity. Sometimes it's unfortunate. Now, what about iPhone photography or smartphone? What do you use? iPhone?
iPhone,
yes?
Yeah.
So do you just use the de facto camera built in? Are you using?
Yeah, I don't.
You're not using like film mic or whatever it's called, film tech.
I'm terrible at iPhone pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really.
That's funny.
But no, I know people use. Who has it? Is it LG that does the Pro mode? One of them, Samsung. A lot of people talk about Pro mode.
Yeah, someone did that earlier. I think it was Samsung. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm assuming, what I've read is that you're adjusting the white balance and f-stop and all that good stuff. Essentially, you're doing that with Snapseed. So the iPhone, I've always used Snapseed. Same thing. A little bit less control. You can't control the f-stop and all that, but the white balance is what you really want to focus on.
There are some nice apps you can put in your phone, and there's one that a friend of mine keeps recommending. He says, Mark, I want you to start using only that from now on in your phone. Quit using the built-in one. And he said, but there's so much control. And he said, it's literally like having a DSLR inside your iPhone. Yeah. And I was like, ugh. But I have been shooting YouTube videos and taking pictures on my iPhone since the iPhone 6.
Your videos look great, yeah.
They come out pretty good, yeah. But I spend a lot of time cleaning them up. And I would love to just like export, boom. But I actually I trim ends off, trim pieces off the ends. Now that I have Final Cut Pro, I am able to actually fix the coloration and or remove something that's blown out, or I don't know. It's really tricky. It's really tricky to make it look right and be right video after video, because it may look perfect to you that day, and then you're watching it later on YouTube, and you're like, wow, it was really dim. I didn't do that one right. And then, is my next one gonna be dim, or am I gonna?
Yeah, that's. I like to sleep on my images for a day or two.
Yeah. But I do recommend that if you're gonna do anything with your phone, I always recommend that you use the Polyblab clip on your lens to filter out the blue.
Even with your pro modes, I would use that too, because it's easier to overcompensate and bring that back down than it is to go up, because only so much you can add to the image.
So Polyblabs has an orange filter. Well, I mean, I have the original one because I love the original one. Okay, so the original one was orange and yellow, and you could even stack them and go through orange and yellow, and it would kill all the blue. And sometimes I use orange, sometimes I use yellow, sometimes I use both. They also have a polarizing lens, which is kind of neat, and that lets you actually twist the lens to kind of remove like blue reflections off the top of the tank, or you could look at the actual subject and kind of turn it, and you'll see it change slightly, like, oh, and you take the shot. It's a weird thing. You just kind of learn to look what to look for. They have a magnification lens that goes on there to bring something closer, and they have, I think this is the polarizing one. What is this one? Must be the other version. But like I said, they had these different ones that came out, and I mainly stick with the orange and yellow. This is the polarizing one I was talking about. This is the one that it looks like a mirror. It's kind of weird. I'm trying to remember. Maybe this is... See, it just says V2. Oh, yeah, this is the one. This is the newer one that I'm not a huge fan of. And it's a combination of an orange gel. It's probably got orange and yellow and the UV twisting, polarizing thing, because you can spin it. And I liked more control with a solid because I feel like, and I don't know, but I feel like one part of the gel is thicker and the other part's thinner, so you can kind of twist it to get the right thing over the lens just right. It's a weird little lens. But those little clip-on kits, they're $35, and you just keep it near your tank at all times. That's what I do. I always have it under the tank in the exact same spot so I don't look for it. And when I go travel and I go to stores or whatever, I try to keep it with my camera bag or my backpack, and that way I've got it in there and I can put it on quickly. The downside is if you're using that clip and you're doing an interview, we look weird because the tank has to look right. So you almost have to like talk to someone in front of your tank, for example, without the clip, and then put the clip on. But then the background looks bad during the conversation. It's just
good like this. I mean,
this is under the sky, and like I said, the profile I've got this under, because they've got these really cool ones in the standalone sky, which means that it doesn't talk to the Apex. It's like a Bluetooth on your phone, and they have these really cool pre-programmed options you can pick. I'm not using that. Of course not. I am using the one that goes with the Apex, which is a totally different schedule with these extra profiles, and I pick one. I think I named it my favorite, which I should just call it webcam. And that one makes, this tank actually has a very yellowish hue to it right now. It's very unpleasant to the eye, but to the webcam, it looks correct. Let me see if the XHOs are on. I can't see.
I think they were.
Yeah, so I added the XHOs in addition to give it a little bit of color, but not enough to hurt the webcam. Because that's the problem. This thing doesn't like it. I really am hoping that maybe this D500 will work out nicely. And I'll be able, right there. Yep. Just screws in. So you see how it filters out, and I've got the yellow one in the fish room. Yeah. But you see how we looked when you did that?
Like you got back from the beach, Mark.
Yeah, just got a tan. So more tricks about the iPhone photography I would recommend is that you want to be able to focus on the subject. So one of the things I love to do, I'm just going to take my phone. I keep getting robocalls. Should I just take it? No. Okay, so waiting for this to end. See, it's still waiting for them. Go away. Go away. Go away. All right. So now if I want to take a picture of something in my tank, I like to put it right. See how you see the lights reflecting off the glass right now? Maybe you can see that.
Yeah, I used to do this. This was me trying to hide it. Yeah.
But if you put it right on the glass, they go away because now your camera is directly on the tank and you can get in there. And then, of course, you've got the ability to hit the zoom button and get even closer on the subject you want and take your picture. Or you can do the super wide frame and get a really cool effect and take that shot. I'll go ahead and stick that on the stream now.
Oh, you can hook that up.
I
Okay.
can, yeah. Hopefully. Waiting for it to
Do
show
you have
up
anything
here.
to edit on there? I mean,
I don't need to edit that. It's beautiful. It's done. But I can actually just hit edit,
Oh yeah, okay.
do this,
Auto.
call it done, and then I'll throw this on the screen. And
Yeah, that was great.
that came out really good. And see, there's no reflections, and there's nothing to distract you, and you can see all of the coral. I mean, it's all right for a cool sort of panoramic type of shot.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
And I wish it would be, yeah, it'd be nice if they'd let you pivot for the for the stream instead of being squeezed. But the trick of putting the camera directly on the aquarium, you don't want to scratch your tank, obviously, with the cameras on the back. And if you do have the clip on there, that will make it more tricky. So now you got the clip on there. Let me put a gel in there. So we've got that connected. And now at this point, what I would do to get this shot is, instead of putting it directly on the tank where it could maybe scratch the glass of my aquarium, I put a finger behind. So now my fingers are on the glass, and the camera, I didn't quite get the clip on there right. So. But now I can still get rid of the reflection. I can still pick the spot. I will touch the screen on what I'm trying to focus on, and then I'll take the shot. Now usually I'm using 2 hands, not 1 on a webcam. So it's a little bit harder. But a lot of times I will find the thing I want to take a picture of, I'll focus, and I'll press and hold until it locks that focus. And then I can adjust the brightness down to make it dimmer and take the shot, and it won't look blown out. So now we'll go ahead and share that one. And I'll show you guys something else here. Since we're waiting for the iPhone to connect here, I think. It just says iPhone on my screen. Let me see, maybe it's locked. Yeah, it's waiting for me to unlock it. Okay, here we go. So I'll switch that, and we'll come back here. It still says iPhone. Hang on, guys, hang on. Why won't it just cooperate like it did beautifully a second ago? Well, let's do this. Try plugging back in. See if we can get it. No, it's not finding the phone again. We got our one try, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you get. Too bad. But anyway, the point is, there's a lot you can do directly in your phone on the screen before you share it with the world. And one of the simplest things is to go in the top corner and hit edit and open the actual built-in editor and clean up whatever you want. But this actually came out pretty decent overall for something I just did freehand over my shoulder.
No, that was great. Yeah.
And you guys can kind of see how that came out. So you should realize, not only are you taking pictures and you've got your clean glass and you've stopped the flow perhaps because you wanted to show something super fluffy, not doing this like crazy on flow. You also may need to, well, I told you to adjust the brightness down, but because a lot of you have LED lighting, just switch the spectrum to something normal. Turn off the blue.
Don't leave it on all blues.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. It just makes it harder.
Just turn them off. You don't need them.
Need
You're like, well, it doesn't look
more
as good.
orange,
It's
more
like, you know
warmth,
what?
and-
It may look decent on your phone. And then another thing about photography around an aquarium, which is crazy, no one talks about this. You are taking a picture of something, and you're taking a picture of this, and you're doing that, and you're looking at it, you're like, oh, these suck. And you're just like, you really hate it.
Yeah.
And you get away from the aquarium and all the blue light, and you're looking at your phone, like, oh, these look good.
Yeah, your eyes are adjusting.
Because you're around all that blue, and you're looking at the screen, and the screen's getting basked in blue, and then, literally,
Well,
the
iPhone's
reflection.
bad about that too. That it'll auto adjust the screen for
Yeah.
you. You think it's too dark, but really it's just the screen it auto adjusted.
Yeah. And one thing one person told me the other day, which may be true, I'm not really sure. I've tried it a few times, I haven't proven it. They say, go ahead and point the phone at the tank and then open up the camera so it's looking at that thing.
What I used to do,
And
is
it might
switch.
handle LEDs
I would
better.
switch between the video and then move it back to the picture, and,
And that would make it do
a little
something?
bit,
Yeah, because there's some weird change that happens in the way the camera's receiving LED lighting. So there's a couple tricks there. And I'm happy to answer questions for you guys, and I've done videos showing this stuff in the past. It's always easier to show it to you in person than it is to do it this way. But I mean, I shouldn't rule this out because a million videos on YouTube are how to do something. I think you just need a second person.
I've never watched any of those videos.
Really?
I remember Googling and seeing things in forums and articles. It's trial and error and just
Yeah.
learning yourself. I mean, don't learn everything at once.
Right.
I would learn, take a picture. What you don't like about that picture, you know, could be the grain, f-stop. You know, just learn about what bothers you.
Yeah.
You know, don't learn everything at once.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think we've covered all the things I wanted to discuss with you. Is there anything that you would like to add to this that comes to your mind that we just forgot to mention? Some magic you have in your bag that that people would love to have and could never afford?
Oh no, this is affordable. Top down port. Ben Sue makes these.
Oh yeah, top down photography, great. Yes.
Yeah. Of course, you can't see that. This is
top secret.
Prototype.
Okay.
It's a working prototype, but I use this tube to, you know, basically my camera goes in here in the lens.
And it
You know,
penetrates
you can-
the water.
Yeah, you can shoot down inside the water.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a.
And I make a little box so you can lay your phone in there, and you
Oh,
can just
yeah.
break the surface and get a nice
Same thing, yeah.
picture without having to. Because one of the things you can do is turn off the flow and wait for the water to quit moving, and you might get a good shot. But if you have fish in the tank and they're swimming, they make a ripple. And if you have power heads still moving water down low, it creates a ripple, and you might get a ripple right through the actual thing you're trying to get a shot of. So you do want that stillness, and using something that penetrates through the water but keeps the camera dry is very important.
Yeah.
I made my first top-down photo box many years ago, and I still sell them to this day.
I've used it. Yeah, I've used it.
It's a little cumbersome. That thing, I know that thing's a little bit easier to use, to be honest. I get it. You know, I understand. But what it was is what I could make at the time, and it works well. And you can use it with pretty much any DSLR. It always comes down to how much lens can you put in it.
Yeah. That's,
You know,
yeah.
or you have to drill a hole higher for the mounting screw. But I connected the camera to the box itself with a plastic screw, and that way you take the whole unit up and do your photography, and your hands are above water. You could tell if your fingers are getting wet, right? So you would know my camera's too deep in the water, for example. That never happened. There'd be the occasion where I'm like really trying to get a shot of something very specific, and as you're looking through the viewfinder, I would see some water in the bottom of the lens, and it was just water in the box below the lens. And all I had to do was just stop what I was doing, back up, kind of tilt, and let it just pour out the corner.
Yeah.
Camera never even got a drop of water on it.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, you have to be aware of what you're doing. You can't just say, oh, it's waterproof. Nothing bad will happen. But my friend Wes, who's crazy, and he knows that, he took his brand new, I guess it was the iPhone 11 Pro or whatever it was, whenever it came out, and he said, it's waterproof, you know.
Up to,
and I was like,
5 minutes or something crazy. Yeah.
And you know, I'd watch the videos, and like, we put it in 3 feet of water. It was in there for 3 hours, and it never died. I'm like, okay, that's nice. Anyway, that doesn't make me want to put it in a saltwater aquarium.
Right.
He comes to my house and just takes it and goes plunk, and starts taking pictures of stuff in my reef, and he goes, look how good this is. And I'm just like, oh my God. And he's like, well, I do have Apple Care. I'm just like, oh my God, what are you doing? But no, we were in Fiji a few years ago for my friend's wedding, and he went from one island to a different island, and we were diving, you know, scuba gear. And yet he got to this other island, and he said you could just walk into the shallowest of water, and there was this coral thicket full of blue chromis.
Yeah.
And he took his phone, just shoved it in the water, and got a picture of all these chromis inside that coral,
cool.
and sent me this video from his submerged phone in the ocean.
That's cool.
And I was just like, man, he really trusts it. And I'm just so paranoid. I don't want to destroy the one thing I use 1,000 times a day.
Yeah, these the D500 and the 850 are weather sealed, but I don't want to test it. You know, I don't want to test it.
Okay.
I mean, I'm around moisture a lot. You know,
Right.
being in stores
Around
and-
aquariums and
yeah.
humidity, yeah.
So, and I've dunked one of those lenses completely in water before,
Ooh.
accidentally. But
Oh,
same thing, they're weather sealed, so
really? Oh, wow.
I guess they work.
Nice. All right. All right, let's go see if we got any questions in here that we can tackle. A lot of people said hello at the beginning. I always scroll back to the beginning, so you guys know if you have a question, just do @MilosReef, and that way I can find it. There's one, @Michael Vargas. He says, you not only take great pictures, but also cook some good barbecue.
Well, because I got your seasoning.
Yeah, Kevin makes this
Yeah.
amazing. Matter of fact, I have to get new seasoning, Kevin. Mine expired and I threw it away.
Oh,
I think
you
it
don't
was.
do that.
I think it was the barbecue sauce. It had like a date, and I got nervous.
Oh, you're fine. Just stir it back up.
Well, it's somewhere in a landfill, so I need another bottle.
Good stuff. Yeah, my neighbors loved it. It was great.
Yeah, no, the powder, the rub, is really good.
Was it a pecan one or something? Yeah.
I don't know what it was. Matter of fact, I think there was I think it was paprika is what I noticed. I put on chicken, and it was really good. And I was like, wow. And I never cooked that way. I had to have him tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
And I did exactly what he told me to do, and it worked really, really well. So I need to get more. Let's see. Okay, a lot of people saying they're using their phones. A Sony, a Samsung, which is an iPhone. A smartphone. There's another Canon user.
A lot of people use Canons.
I think people use Canons because that's what you could buy at Costco.
Yeah, me.
You don't
I stuck
often
with-
see a Nikon setup
I
for
stuck
sale
with
at Costco.
Nikon because my sister, that was a camera I was,
Yeah.
using, and I just stick with what I know. I don't want to relearn something.
Yeah, I did Nikon because I think my friend says you're buying this camera, and so I just did.
Okay.
And
Sure.
I've been using it ever since. I can't remember what I had before this. I think I had a different Nikon before, and then before that, I know I had the Fuji.
Yeah.
The Fuji was great, and when it did die, I was actually at a wholesaler in California, which was ridiculously humid. I mean, insane humidity,
Oh, that's
and
the
I think
worst.
it killed the camera. I mean,
That's the worst.
I pulled it out, and I went, and it was. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's dead.
Yeah, I thought for a long time of keeping that D500 as a backup, but
Yeah.
the thing is I can rent one now. You
Yeah.
know, and I haven't needed a backup in 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I say that, though, but, you know.
Yeah, it's always nice to have a
Yeah.
backup. Yeah. So you rent a camera instead of bringing your own?
No. I said I can always rent one if something happens. You know?
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I understand that. All right. Alex asked, why did the photos look bad when I have the blue or purple lights on? It's because the camera, the lens itself, can't take those colors. It's not made for those colors. And, I'm sure you've got a more scientific answer to that
No,
one.
really, just
That blue spectrum is just really hard to shoot
you
through.
need the bluer you are, the more warmth
Yeah.
you need in that image. So whether it's a filter, adjusting your white balance or color temperature, tint, all that, you need warmer colors.
Yeah.
Try that out. Try moving the slider to 10K on if you're a pro mode. I don't know what you're shooting with. Did he say?
He did
didn't
not.
Say no.
And
Yeah,
it
try
could-
an orange. A lot of people like 85. So, with filters, everybody talks about 85B. That's a great filter. But the thing is, if you're really blue, like a deep blue, 453 and then stuff like that, LEDs, it's not a great filter to use. Most of the cameras only go up to 10,000K.
Mm-hmm.
You're still going to have to edit it a little bit more to bring out less blue,
Right.
So I always recommend doing more orange 85 series in Hoya. There's some other people that make them, but Hoya's a really popular one.
Mm-hmm.
Stick with solid orange, like 85, just 85 series. It's easy to overcompensate that and then drop it down and more blue. Shooting Kelvin, you can just add more blue to the image, and I think it'll be quicker.
I mean, when we're talking about these numbers, 10K is like a white with a hint of blue, and 20K is completely blue. So a tank that's purple or blue, the fuchsia, those bright, vivid colors that make the corals pop, it looks great in person, but it looks terrible on your phone, as you noticed. So what you could do possibly is switch off the blues, just be in white mode, try taking pictures of the coral now, and then maybe in the editor of your phone, start dumping color back into it to see if you can make it look a little bit closer, but still easy to see.
Yeah, when you had your halides, I was no filter, obviously, but that would you'd almost have to add reds
Yeah.
because it's the way you're 15K, 12K.
I had a 10K and I had a 20K, and so between those two, you had to pick pick your poison.
Halide was fun to shoot under.
Yeah, and I've been doing it forever. Now it's gone. Now I'm stuck with these.
Yeah.
So it's nice though, because I'm able to do things now, and I'm looking forward to doing things with the D500
Yeah,
that I
yeah.
couldn't do with the D90 specifically. So that'll be a lot of fun.
Who's next?
All right, let's find another one.
Fernando.
I don't think that's a photography question, but I will answer it anyway. Timur from Russia says, how to ensure that the sand does not turn sour? So I think you're talking about becoming dirty or spoiling or even becoming sulfuric because of anoxic zones. Our sand beds in our saltwater aquariums typically don't need a ton of maintenance, but we do recommend that you have life in it and that you have the right sand in the first place. So there's certain brands of sand we don't recommend. We don't recommend play sand. We don't recommend sandblasting sand. It's actually more glass based. We want to use something called calcium based sand, which is oftentimes referred to as aragonite sand. And if you use that, and if you were to add some live sand to it, the bacteria will live in the sand bed and keep it nice and clean. And then you can add things like cucumbers, conchs, Neisseria snails. They all will work their way through the sand bed. And there are those that like to vacuum their sand bed to clean it out of detritus. I'm not actually one of those guys. I very rarely vacuum the sand bed. but it is something that some do to pull out a lot of the fish waste that is getting down on the sand and then working its way down under the substrate to where it's out of sight. And there can be a lot of filth in there. But as long as you have good circulation in your tank, it won't sour like you were describing. It's usually in an area where there's very low flow, where it's just stagnant and it's oxygen deprived. That's when things start getting really bad. All right, Hernando, my friend from Florida who moved recently, he says, I don't have enough cool stuff in my camera. I gotta get more cool stuff.
What are you gonna get?
So he's watching our show. He's deciding.
Try that out. This is quick and easy.
Yeah.
Start out with the 150. You can do the 250, but you got to be closer to the subject, and it makes it a little bit more difficult.
And where do you get that from? Amazon?
Oh yeah, Amazon. I've had it for years, but yeah,
Okay.
try that out. Give it a try.
Oh, all right, let me handle this one. If you're going all anemones and trying to farm them, would a frag tank be the best choice? Actually, a lot of times people that are growing anemones for sale do like a larger vat. It might be relatively shallow, and sometimes they line it with carpet, like the indoor-outdoor carpeting, because the anemones will hold on, but they can't really hold on. You can just like pull them off to put them in a bag to sell.
That's neat.
I've seen that done.
Tricks.
Yeah, there's always a trick, right? Oh, thanks, Andrea, for putting that up. She put the link to the smartphone floater.
Talk about black backgrounds.
Okay.
It's easy.
Super Eagle.
I wish I would have brought.
Talk about black backgrounds, please.
I wish I would have brought my box.
What's in the box?
Well, no, it's a photo booth basically. It's a. Let me see this. This will describe it a little bit. So,
Let me switch cameras.
well, you just hold it up. So, imagine this is a photo booth. It's there's no top, and that's just sticks onto your aquarium, and you photograph through it.
Yep.
All of it's black or white or whatever. Black works the best. That's the easiest way to do it. Same thing with top down. You shoot inside of a black box. I don't know how in depth I can go. Other than that, you're editing. I used to edit. Like I can take a picture of one of Mark's corals, and now I'll just edit everything. I use Photoshop to remove all the background. There's a magic wand tool. You click the button and it'll highlight everything, and then you can
Erase it.
erase it.
Yeah.
Or you can change it to red, green, blue, whatever.
I need to
colors you
mess
want.
more with that one. That's
It's a
something
lot
I don't
of fun.
do enough.
You can do that.
I need to learn more
That's a
from
lot
that
more
one.
work.
Yeah,
I like the
is.
boxes. Or what I've done recently is I order a sheet of black acrylic, and I'll just lay that down and put the coral on top of it, and take the picture that way. And
Oh, nice. That way
know,
the background's always perfect.
it's always there. Yeah. And
Yeah.
if I need to, I can erase the background
Yeah.
and re-add the black. But
There is a way to like paint in the black. That's another way.
yeah, just take
it's
whatever.
real tedious.
I'd try to be faster now. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Order some acrylic. Try. I like the matte finish acrylic. I don't like the gloss.
Yeah.
The matte finish is good. Yeah. What's your setup to take black backgrounds? Was that the same one or a different one?
This is the one we just did.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know. Super Eagle 8888. I don't know what else I can talk about.
Okay, so another trick for black backgrounds
Same
could
thing.
be, for example, you could get a metal apparatus and you can actually hang a black fabric and you could put it behind the aquarium, for example. Like in my case, I have a fish room back there and you can see the water vat and some plumbing. But
see
if
it,
you hung a fabric back there, it'd be gone. And that way you can get a picture without anything spoiling what's happening behind. And Dwayne's tank, he has a beautiful SPS Reef, and behind it is a washer dryer. And so he has a curtain that he pulls. And sometimes you'll see the curtain, sometimes you won't. Because there are times you actually need a physical fabric that hangs down.
Yeah.
And I had someone here once, and Gary Parr used to take really nice photography and share it with the world. And he brought velvet, like the kind Elvis would like. It was
Oh, wow.
black velvet, and he hung it back there, and Spock hated it. Oh my God. And he had to power off on the pumps for like hours while he's trying to get these shots he cared about. And Spock was black and pissed and in the corner. And she'd come out and she's like, what is going on? I can't see out that side. That's a problem. I'm not happy. And I was glad when he was done because I wanted Spock to calm down and get things back to its normal self. But sometimes having something in the background, physical, like you said, put something underneath, put it in a box that's black.
Yes, I was gonna show. So on my
techniques.
Instagram, I posted a picture. Can you bring that up, or
I don't know. Did I close it?
I can just hold my phone up?
Let me jump to Chrome. We'll just do it the hard way.
Yeah.
So Instagram.com/M Vargas _photography.
Tell you who made that.
And you have to tell me which picture. Actually, I can find this one here.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So I will stick that. Let me find our window and we'll share this. So this is.
So that's the box that I use. You can dump anything in there: fish, corals, of course the blue ring octopus. That's actually made by P&W Custom.
And you can see it's holding on with cleaning magnet or with little magnets.
Yeah. So that's another. That's mainly what I use now. If it's a top down, it's a lot different, but
yeah.
You know, that's a good tool to use. If you go out and you go to another picture, how do you do that?
I have to do it the hard way. I have to move this so I can see what I'm doing. Hang on. I couldn't see it because there's so many windows on this. If I had multiple screens, this would be a lot easier. Lost it. Come back. All right.
This is the snails. That's also another one with the black box.
All right.
So that one using the flash. So I use the flash to come through the glass. If you come at an angle a little bit, you'll get that nice little mirror reflection on the bottom. It's pretty cool.
Just trying to move it up a little bit. But no, it's very pretty.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get this to fit on. Like I said, I need a second monitor apparently to do these kind of things. All right. So yeah, I agree. The mirror reflection.
It's neat. It's a neat little touch.
It's how I do things on my website now. The things I sell, they all have a glass. I have a piece of glass and I photograph and it gets that reflection of the product. All right, let's find another question. And Marcus says, I bought one of Mark's smartphone floaters. It's very nice, and the way the bottom is made, the viewing panel doesn't get scratched. And that's exactly why they're so hard to make.
Yes.
And that's why no one copies them.
I need glass. I need glass.
Yeah. Having something that cannot touch the surface when you put it down. Yeah. I remember my first photo box. I made it, and I gave it to someone to get up on a step ladder and look down at my 280-gallon Reef. And they're looking through it like, like binoculars. And like, oh, it's so pretty. And wow, those clams are amazing. And they're just really enjoying it. And then we went to the kitchen, and I think I put it on the kitchen counter, which was for Micah. And then the person talking to me just took their hand and just kind of like wanted to put their hand on the counter and just kind of slid it. And I'm like, why would you even move that? I mean, so it got ruined, it got scratched. And, you don't want any scratches. You want the viewing panel or like the thing he showed you from
Building an Obsession?
Building Obsession, BAO. You want that to be pristine. If there's anything on, it's possible to get a nick or two on there because you're going to look through it to shoot through.
Little bumpers.
Yeah, little foot so it doesn't touch anything. That's so important because it really is a bummer if you do get a ding. And what I just made myself a new one.
Yeah, just make another one.
And that's why I changed it with the legs, so that way when it's sat down on the surface, the lens is about this far off of the legs. It's a whole process to build those. They're really a pain in the butt to make, but it works. Let's see.
Ooh, a Hasselblad.
Somebody's got a Blackmagic Pocket 4K that they use to film. It has plenty of megapixels. Oh, here's one that I think that we should have mentioned. When you're taking pictures of things, and especially with your phone, one of your most common mistakes to make is you will find the subject you like and you will zoom as far as you can to get it in the frame. So it's just that one thing and you hit click. And it's like 10 times magnified of the JPEG.
Yeah.
It's the worst rendition. And then they're like, what is this thing? Because it's like a bristleworm that was, 2 feet away. And they were like, well, what is this pink thing? It's got hair. And I'm just like looking at it. But if you took a regular picture, which is gonna be like a 14 meg photograph, you can then, in the editor, crop out the little pink fuzzy thing and it'll look like a bristleworm.
Yeah.
So don't over zoom for the picture. Take the picture and then crop it down to the thing you want. And one of the nice things in the iPhone, I don't know if Samsung does this, or because I've never gone Android, we can actually edit and save as a new and keep the original. Or we can edit and then we can hit revert and go back to the original. So you don't ruin it if you had to crop a piece out, but you wanted to keep the main picture. There is the ability to actually have a copy of it. And same with video. I shoot a lot of video on my phone. You guys know that. And the video editor that's built in is very nice now compared to what it was. It used to just be you could cut off the beginning and cut off the end, so you don't hear you don't see it shaking slightly, or there's some kind of talk in the background that didn't matter yet. You can turn that off. But now you can actually adjust spectrum a little bit. You can bring the volume up and down. You can add titles on top. There's more you can do now in just the rawest of editors, or you can go directly into iMovie or some other software you like to clean it up. But I really want to emphasize that video can be really practical when you're trying to share something. And as long as the clip is like 10 seconds long or so, it's very shareable. If you try to share like a 3-minute video, that's a whole other process. Then it's like you have to upload to YouTube or some other site because it's such a big file. And it's not something you could like email to someone. It's just too big. But I do like to shoot in video. And from video, you can pull a frame, a freeze frame, and save one picture of a certain moment, which is useful or practical. Time lapse is another neat thing to do, which we can do with our phones. And you can set it up where, for example, somebody wants to show an anemone splitting, and they time lapse it for a few hours. Yeah. Or they want to show a fungia eating, and the food's slowly going in, you know.
Cool, yeah.
Or acans, how they do something for a certain amount of period. You know, there's these things that we like to photograph, and then of course you have choices like panoramic, where you can get the whole room, or fisheye, like you mentioned with that one lens you were showing. These are all nice features that are fun, but they're not your everyday lens. Because you won't, I mean, I don't know, I'm sure there's probably one Instagram account that's fisheye only everything, you know?
Yeah.
And that's their thing, you know, and they take a picture of the city and their dog, it's in fisheye. But you might find, I really want the fisheye effect, but you might discover you don't use it very often. Yeah. So is it really worth spending the money on that, or would you rather dump the money into like a really good macro lens because that's the thing you care about most? And you liked a picture I saw yesterday on Facebook. Someone had zoomed in on the tip of an acro with these huge, fluffy, fat little polyps sticking out. And it was so tight that you were seeing like one polyp of an acro taking up the whole frame. Yeah. And I was like, he must have just like poked that thing in his eyeball to get that close. It was that tight on the subject. Yeah. Even yours aren't usually in that far. You usually are getting a little farm.
First one.
Let's see.
I think, no, go down.
Okay.
This one. Those are acro polyps.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, those are acro polyps.
Stick this one on the screen for you guys. I mean, look how pretty this is.
That's at a little more than 5x magnification.
Look at that. That's cool. And you can see each of the little parts that grab the food out of the water. Those, whatever that is, 6 or 12 little tendrils. But yeah, look how close up that is. And none of us see that. No. We stand in front of the tank and just... Some people are like, why do you like sticks? Like, look at it!
Yeah.
Look at that stick. That is amazing. No, there are some really pretty colors in our tanks, and so we definitely want to appreciate them and see them in person. And the closer you get into it, the more you discover, the more I guess you feel attached to it.
There's so much life in the tank that you don't see.
Yeah. Variant, I answered some of this earlier. I don't know if you heard it or if you just joined us. This doesn't show when they typed it, so I don't know. But one of the things, one person that photographs fish loves to use a flash. And he would put the flash down, so he's shooting here and his flash was down low, shooting upward at the belly of the fish. And when he would focus, he focused on the eye of the fish as the fish was going by, and it hit the belly with the light, and the whole fish was lit up, and it looked really nice.
It's more time consuming.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Fish is time consuming.
Yeah, fish are tricky.
Photography is all lighting, so I mean, however you can get the light, that's all creative, your creative mind.
Yeah, and then like I said, you might have to clean it up afterwards in Photoshop.
I like a continuous focus, so that makes it easier for me.
Yeah.
When I used to photograph drone races, that's what I would use. So I'd follow them around and.
I think you were talking about that before.
Yeah.
I can't remember where mine is. It's probably buried in a menu. But I think it's CAF for continuous autofocus. So if you have that on your camera, you would want to use that.
You'll get more shots.
Nice. Oh, okay. So D3 says you can do that on the Android as well. So awesome. It's nice to know that it's on both platforms. I assume it usually is. I just don't know that it is because I haven't seen it in person. Did you guys talk about curved glass yet? My tank is curved. I'm considering swapping to a flat glass tank for better photos.
I never photographed in a curved tank.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I would assume
it's horrible.
I would assume you would have to like angle yourself to try to figure out the curvature, but
it's such a beating.
Top down is what you're going to do, or I don't know.
Now I can tell you this, and this is I love doing this when I'm in Lightroom. You do all your edits. And then there's one button on your keyboard. It's actually this one right here, the one under the delete. Yeah. And you tap it once, it shows the original picture.
Oh, yeah.
And you tap it again, it goes back to your nicely edited. So you can kind of see where you came from to where you are now. One of the reasons I do that is I want to make sure I'm bringing it true to life, but I'm not going so far off the original one that I've invented Disney. I'm not trying to.
More often than not, I desaturate something like a red or an orange.
Because it's just too colorful.
Those are the two colors that come up the most with a DSLR. I don't know about the camera phones, but
Right.
those always get blown out for some reason.
Yeah. And then in the lowest part of when you scroll down all the editor stuff on the right side of the Lightroom, and this is in my video tutorial, there's a thing that's called lens correction. And you can click it, and it will take a beveled shot and it'll make it straight. And this was very important to me because I have a very long aquarium, 7 feet long. And when you looked at the aquarium, it actually had a little bit of a bubble because the front of the lens has got a curve too. And by doing lens correction, the bubble would straighten out into a straight box. And I could do that with sumps, I could do that with aquariums, I could do it with a lot of things. And then one day, I went crazy. I'd borrowed a fisheye lens, and I took a bunch of fisheye lens pictures. And then I selected lens correction and made them flat.
Yeah.
I didn't know you could do that. I didn't know you could
amazing.
undo
Yeah.
a fisheye lens into a regular shot.
Amazing.
It's like, wow. So if you have a curved tank, perhaps lens correction would let you mess with it to kind of
You can
pull it out
manually do the
some.
lens correction too. So
Yeah.
It's something fun to play with. I've never photographed in a curved tank.
But no, and then the corners, the whole thing, especially with the curved corner too, it does this weird thing where you think you have two fish, and or they go through and it kind of looks like a weird, crazy mirror look. And getting those shots are really difficult. Basically, what you want to do with any part of curved glass or a curved tank at a public aquarium is you want to take your lens and you want to put it directly on the surface, on that flattest part. Because while the tank is curved, if you are on the glass, that is a flat piece. As you back away, more and more of the curve is going to occur. It just depends what all is going to be in the shot. You may not be able to get what you want by being that close up, but I try to avoid the things that create a visual deflection.
Yep.
Let's see. That's it. Look,
That last one. I wish we
not a lot of questions today. It's actually pretty simple.
That's a good variant. Again, that's a good one. Yeah,
this
I
last
agree.
one?
I wish there was more. The thing is there's not a whole lot for photography or video in the hobby. It's all geared towards everything else. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people I've tried talking to for products or lighting or something, and it's usually a one-off or it's not worth it to make it. It's almost, you gotta do everything yourself,
Yeah.
develop it yourself, design it and just tweak it from there. I mean, that's what's hard about being a photographer in this hobby.
Doing what you're describing, I'm going to read what he put. I put it on the screen, but I didn't get to read it. He said, I wish Reef products had epic product cinematography. I can almost say it. And photography. I wonder why brands don't spend more on more epic cinematography and photos. And now I'm starting to see more and more of like these cool video introductions where the product is blown apart into 20 pieces and then it reassembles and then it turns. And I like that. I think it's neat. It's absolutely unnecessary to sell a tool, but it's neat looking and it's a visual thing, catches your eye, it makes you feel modern, for me, it makes it feel Apple or whatever you want to call it.
There's a handful of things so like if you look at macro photography, bugs, for example, you got your diffusers, you got light rings, you got all these tools, these different lights that help you. None of that works for aquariums.
Right.
Wrong spectrum.
Yep.
It
Too many reflections.
it just doesn't work. Nobody wants to develop that.
Right.
So that's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard
But
to do.
I think he's saying more like to promote products that they should have these really cool video, productions of that protein skimmer.
I mean, it might help.
It's sort of like selling a really high-end car. They have these awesome things. They show it, coming through a tunnel, and it's coming over the crest of a mountain, and they slide to a stop, and and it's got a few raindrops on it. Yeah, it's all cool, but there's a lot of effort in creating that. Will it sell more of that brand of aquarium? Like if Planet Aquarium suddenly did some crazy video like that, would that sell all the Planet Aquariums left and right? I don't know. Maybe it did, but you're asking now a company that makes glass aquariums to either hire someone or to learn how to shoot all this crazy stuff and create something. And then you've got other people that are like, God, I just want to see the tank. I just want to know the dimensions. I just want to know what it's made of.
Done.
I don't need to watch an 18-minute video about this aquarium. So there's a whole, people's patience level is very short. And I'm lucky that the people who watch this channel understand it's going to take forever for me to get to the point. We'll talk for a long time about things, and we have these big long streams where we answer a lot of questions, which is great.
Yeah.
But I know other people have come to my channel and say, "Can't you just say this in 5 minutes and that's it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I could edit that. That's another choice. I just choose to do these more interactively." But I do see what he's saying, and like the new sky light that's over my tank, they did a really cool 2-minute video that did the whole from different angles and took it apart and did the whole 3D rendering, and it's neat looking, and people are going to buy the light anyway. I don't know that that's going to do it. That's my point. But maybe if everyone did it, maybe then everyone would sell things equally. Yeah, it's a good question. It's interesting to consider that. Oh, Eric has to leave. Eric is one of the moderators in this group, and he's been one of the moderators in Club Milo's Reef for a long time. Guys, if you aren't a member of Club Milo's Reef, you should join us. I was going to stick it on the screen, but I can't find my widget. Where is it? I don't know. It's hiding somewhere under all this. Maybe it's under this. It could be anywhere. Hang on. There's a way to bring everything. Aha! Found it. So, if you guys want to come to Club Milo's Reef, it's facebook.com/group/Milo's Reef. I'm right under it. Yeah. And that group has been going for, I guess we're coming up on 3 years now. And we have, 8,000 members or so. I'm very picky who I let in. You can only be a nice person. And we don't allow people to put others down in there. The group is not there to where you feel uncomfortable asking a question. The whole idea is that you can ask a question and not be made fun of. And that's really important. I've always, I had someone here last night saying, "I don't know enough and I'm really embarrassed to ask for help." And I said, or you just ask for help, because that's how you learn. So if you aren't a member of this group, please do join. And I will look at the application, and I'm the one that actually does the approval. And then we have moderators that keep the peace, and if there's something that you see that concerns you, just report it. Don't get in a fist fight, because that'll just get you thrown out. The whole point is not to have those fights, so just let us handle it. If it's a problem, we'll remove it. If it's fine, it's fine. And if you're having a bad day, I tell people, don't even go into the group that day while you're mad. Go change your water, or go, plant some flowers, or mow the lawn again, or something.
There you go. Now we're talking.
So I don't know how many, is this on your Instagram? Do you have your lawn on your Instagram?
No.
Okay, so this guy made all of the neighbors in his neighborhood hate him the most. Because he has I assume they hate you. He has the most perfect lawn. It's literally, I don't even know, what kind of grass is that?
It's Bermuda. Yeah, it's Bermuda.
It looks fake.
I just keep it super short, 0.3.
0.3 millimeters or inches?
Inches.
So it's super short, perfect green. It's what is it, putting green type?
Yeah, basically.
It's insane. Yeah. And it's wall to wall his property. Everyone else has real lawns. He's got this thing. And how many days a week do you mow it?
Every other day.
Every other day.
You have to. It's like cleaning your tank.
No.
Yes.
I'll wait a week. Every other day mowing. And then you do the thing where you do a stripe this way and a stripe that way and a stripe.
Yeah. You got to mow it in different. Yeah.
Yeah, to get the crisscross effect. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's insane. Like I said,
special mower.
I'm sure the neighbor next door is like, oh, this guy.
Again.
This guy I cannot wait for winter to come and him to stop for a while.
I plant rye, so it's green still.
You still did it. Yeah. Did you actually remove the other to put the other?
No, it grows as it gets warmer. The rye will die.
I see. Yeah. Oh, wow. No, it's really nuts. And we've had so much rain. I was like, "How are you doing?" He goes, "I don't get to mow enough." Because I'm sure your machine will just go into the mud. It'll ruin the smoothness.
A little bit, yeah.
Because your lawn's probably
it's level. Yeah, it's very level. I ordered
level
4 yards of mason sand.
It's like MDF. Yeah. It's like the perfect sheet. There's not one slight depression. I don't know how you don't leave footprints in it. It's really crazy. Crazy. Okay, I want to tell you guys, last week I mentioned that I was going to sell some anemones, and I had quite a few of you reach out to me, and I replied to your emails and got your email addresses and your shipping address and your phone number, so I got everything I need. I looked up all the addresses to see what shipping is going to cost, and so I know what's going on. And my plan is to ship all those out on Monday, which is in 2 days, or possibly Monday and Tuesday if it's just too much to do in one day. I don't want to start bagging things up at 10 in the morning that won't leave until 6 p.m. I don't want them in a bag for 8 hours. I want to start putting things in bags at maybe 3 o'clock. And by 5 o'clock, all the boxes are packed and the labels are being put on, and I go to FedEx before 6, and then everyone gets their order the next day at 12 o'clock. That's the least amount of time in the bag, and I think you'll have the best success rate. If you are wanting to get involved in this anemone selling thing I'm doing, what it is I'm offering a small package that will include one of my nano anemones and from the anemone cube, and it will include some random fresh cut unmounted frag from my reef behind me that I'm just going to drop in as a bonus gift, and I'm selling that for $150 including shipping. So a lot of people said I want to do that, and that's great because I have like 100 of those nano nems. I want them all gone because I don't want to throw them away. I'm sure I'll end up sending some to Tidal Gardens for him to grow out and sell. But in the meantime, I'm just selling these direct. It's my friend's like, you got to call it limited edition. You got to this, you got to that. Like I'm sharing something from my own tank that you guys have been following for years. I think that in itself has some value. And in the case of what you'll get from the tank, it's going to kind of be dealer's choice. I'm going to just find something and it's going to go in the tank. I've had some people say, well, I want this or I want that. And I'm like, okay, I'll keep that in mind. There's no guarantee. One person sent me a picture or 2 pictures of my reef that I shared, and he circled the 3 things he wanted, and they were like the most high-end, most impossible thing to cut that I hadn't even thought about touching, let alone fragging, to give to other people. So that's happening, and so if you want to contact me, it's my email address is sales@milevsreef.com. And I think, yeah, we can put that on the screen. So I'll leave it on the screen for a few minutes, and that way if you want to be part of this, you can. If you've been waiting and haven't got an invoice yet, it's because I haven't sent it. But my plan was to send those out over the weekend, and that way this can all happen on Monday. And I'm actually bringing a friend in from Austin. He's driving up to help me with the packing, just because he said it'd be fun. And he doesn't have an aquarium, so anything to play with makes him happy. And it was nice for him to offer to come help and make that. Because the other choice was maybe do like 5 packages a day. Yeah. Forever.
Forever.
And then in about 3 weeks, Dwayne is going to be here. And he is going to help me tear this reef down to a much smaller version of what it is now. And after he is done, I will probably be doing another coral selling thing that will be, more nice nuggets. So that is something that, the only problem is by that time we'll be heading right into July, and that's a hotter month. And shipping corals in a hot month is not my favorite thing to do. It's not smart. I really like doing things when it's spring. And right now our weather, like right now, today's hot. It says 88 outside.
That's not bad.
Yeah, but last week it was the 70s, and here we are almost 90. So let me see what this week is going to be where I am. More rain. This week, on Monday, our high is 82. That's perfect. A tank is 78. Yeah. So it's so close. And I will be bringing it to FedEx at 6. They're air conditioned. So it's going to go straight from here into a car to FedEx. It's going to be inside their building. Their guy's going to throw it on a truck and take it wherever he takes it. And then overnight, it's not hot. And then it's being delivered in the morning to the destination. So really, it should avoid any kind of heat, even at the other end. Yeah. So that should work out. That's why I do the overnight shipping, and I don't mess around with priority. And the reason I pick a Monday is so it shows up on Tuesday, hopefully, with no surprises. A lot of people like to receive something like on a Friday or a Saturday because it's the weekend. I'm like, no. Yeah. Because if something goes wrong, it doesn't show up till the following Monday.
Wait.
And then it's just a box of death.
Been there plenty of times.
So I always tell people don't ever order something to arrive at the end of the week, livestock-wise. And I also tell people don't buy things in the dead of winter. Don't buy things in the heat of summer. Find the spring and fall. That's a much more likelihood that you'll have success. Now, by the way, people like this guy right here said, well, wasn't Dwayne just here tearing down your tank? I looked it up. October 2017. It was 4 years ago we were working in this tank. So he's going to help me, and he said, we're going to change your aquascape. And then he saw the picture from last week's live stream, and he says, your aquascape is perfect. We don't have to change anything.
Yeah, no, that's good.
The stonework is right. It's just the corals are too big, and they got to be trimmed way down. And he's so good at that and helping to arrange it and kind of mixing up the colors. And I've got to pull out some things that have died. And we got to get things off the coral graveyard from the back of the reef, get them up on the top where they belong, where they can be prettier instead of way down low.
I'll post some pictures of the graveyard.
Yeah, yeah. And then in other news, you guys will not believe this. So, and they have unlimited time. They don't care how long I'm going to talk. So, we talked about mugs last week, and you guys said, I want your mug, I need you to sell them again. And I was like, no, that company's so terrible. And I told you guys most of it, not all of it. I didn't give you every gory detail because I didn't want to promote that business. Well, I think it was that night. It was about 4 days ago, so like Tuesday night. I suddenly, just on a whim, tried to go find the mug itself. It's a black mug with a blue center. It's my website colors. It's the mug. I don't want any other coffee mug for my, to sell. It has to be mine. And so I went to look, and of course the only company that sells it is that company I don't like. I was like, ugh. But I thought maybe I'll just buy the mugs from them blank, and then maybe I'll get a machine and I'll print it on myself. Print my logo on myself. So I went to like 10 different products on the market that exist that use heat and puts it on. And I'm watching tutorials and I'm reading about what's good, what's bad, and you're seeing reviews. I'm like, I think I have to buy a special printer to print on the transfer that then you'll put on the mug that you put in the heat thing to melt it on.
Oh man, yeah.
And I was like, this is becoming quite the ordeal just so somebody can have a mug. And I talked with the moderators. Andrea has been saying for a very long time, I'm gonna make it my mission. She said that in COVID year. It's gonna happen, which of course didn't happen. So now it's like this year, someone mentioned mugs. She's like, it's still my mission. And so she looked around for a little bit and she found me another company. And I went digging deep into their website and I found the exact same mug. I was like, yes, but the color if they print would not be the right color. You had like white, pink, red, blue, black. And the blue is like dark blue, and dark blue on black is invisible. It needs to be that light blue that is my website color, which matches the inside of the blue. I mean, it's just such a pretty look. So I was thinking, oh. So I decided to wait till the next day to call the original company, the people that treated me so badly.
Yeah.
And I got a woman on the phone, and I said to her, why do you have to treat me so badly to where I never want to give you $1 again? And she's like, what? And I said, look, I placed an order in the past, 50% of them were bad, and when I called to complain and say what was wrong, they were fighting me on it. And they were saying, we don't guarantee placement. And they kept saying that, like that was a thing. Like, we don't guarantee placement. I'm like, you're a printing company. Yeah. This is what you do. I mean, for example, does this one have it? Okay. This has the word Nikon printed on it. If you sent it somewhere to be printed, you'd expect it to be straight, not at an angle. And if you got one that had Nikon at an angle, you're like, where did this come from? So and then the front of this lens cap, it's printed correctly. It's not at an angle. It's like they get it correct. My point is, it can be done correctly. And you know how I know? Because half the order was right.
Yeah.
So I know it's possible.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, what if I buy 5,000 mugs? How many can they possibly get wrong? And then my friend Eric says, well, they could get 5,000 wrong. I was like, ugh. So anyway, I told this woman, and she says, this is, I'm putting, this was a email? Yeah. No. It was a phone call. But anyway, she said, we never get these kind of complaints. I said, you did for me, and no one believed me. And I sent all these photographs of the mugs with the logos at an angle.
Crooked, yeah.
And they said, well, how do we know you're not just sending us 50 pictures of the same mug?
I mean,
I was like, you got to be kidding me.
True, right?
No, there was a whole table full.
Oh.
And so I just said, I'll take pictures of all of them. I will ship you back all the bad ones.
Yeah.
I will shatter all of them in a trash can and send you a picture of them destroyed to show you they're unsellable. Will that do it? And so then after days of arguing, they came back. And this was years ago, okay?
That's too much. See you later.
They said, as a one-time courtesy,
oh, man.
we will reprint these mugs you're complaining about. And I'm thinking, that's your job.
Yeah.
What do you mean it's a courtesy? You literally do this for a living. You print mugs. So I'm telling her all this, and she's like, we are the best. We do fantastic work. I said, I had a horrible experience. If I place an order with you now, will I just burn money again? Is it going to be horrible again? And she said, I want to redeem our company in your eyes. So I placed an order, and we're going to see what happens.
Oh, good luck.
And they're going to be here in probably a week. So the Mila's Reef mugs are coming back.
Just to record yourself opening and...
Yeah. Andrea told me if they end up being crooked, that will be an inside joke, and people will be buying them because they know that this company can't get it right. I'm like, no, I want them right. I mean, it's a simple process.
They'll buy them crooked. They just change your logo crooked and everything.
I should do something like, I don't know, auto lens correction.
Yeah.
Make it correct. No, oh my God, I could not believe it. And I asked him, how do you print these? Because that was the other thing. Because the research, I saw how mugs are made.
Yeah.
I said, are you like doing this heat transfer? And she says, we silk screen. Well, silk screen is a machine where you put the mug in, it holds on, they pivot it to a certain spot. There's a screen on top, and a guy takes a little like squeegee and pushes the ink through the fabric onto the mug, turns it, slides, does it. So it means 50% of the ones he shoved in, he put at an angle.
Yeah.
To get the weirdness.
It's not very good.
And because I wasn't there when it happened, I assumed the guy said, oh my God, it's my lunchtime, I gotta get this done.
Yeah.
And just did it really fast and like, who cares?
Yeah,
no one's
of
gonna
course,
notice.
yeah.
Of course, I noticed, and I was really upset.
Your crooked mugs.
So she said, no, we'll do it. And I said, I actually would recommend that the day they're printing, you walk out of your cubicle and you go visit the guy and say, hey, how are you doing on this order? Because this guy's really picky. And she said, I might actually do it. And I was like, okay.
Where they based out of?
I don't know their location. Probably California.
Okay.
But what I did was I got her personal information. She said, if I have any problems after I receive my order, to contact her directly. So, I mean, she went in knowing I might be picky. So hopefully, because here's the thing.
That's not being picky, though. You just want it straight.
Yeah, I want it right.
Yeah.
And when you go to their website, everything is straight on every single picture.
Course, yeah.
And you get their catalog because they send you that for the rest of your life, even though I said, never getting
Yeah.
another $1. Every one of those is straight. Not one was wrong in the entire 86 pages.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, you guys actually have a goal.
Yeah.
So just do it. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I get these nice mugs, and you guys will get a chance to get one finally after all these years, because I've had a lot of people ask for them. And I mean, I didn't order 5,000. I ordered 144.
Can I have a crooked one?
No, there will be no crooked ones. You'll be stuck with a straight one.
I will take a picture of it.
You'll Photoshop it.
Yeah.
Like, look what Mark sold me.
Great.
It's so crooked. Yeah, so that's going to happen. I think that'll be really nice. I really hope. And I told her, I said, when they try to resatisfy, I mentioned it last week, but I'll tell you because you weren't here. When they sent the new mugs, the replacements, the first box showed up was half of this table. It was huge, and it had this cardboard insert with a hole that had the hole for the mug and the handle, and you could have 12 in a tray, and then a tray went on top of cardboard. So it was cocooned.
Yeah.
Then the next one, cocooned, and the next one, like clamshell, all the way up, and all these mugs were so protected. I was like, this is amazing. Wow, they really care. But then I saw they were printed wrong. I was like, oh. Then when they did the replacement box, I got one of those boxes like you always see off the back of a container ship from China that I mean, literally it's like 900 boxes. They all have like their weird logo on the side, and it's like the thinnest cardboard. And when I picked it up from FedEx, it made chinkling sounds, and I opened it up and half of them were shattered. And the liners between them were like the thinnest cardboard that could go, zigzags.
That's some dedication if you're going back to the company.
And I told the person, there's a saying, it's the least I could do. I said, you literally did the least you could do, which is a huge pet peeve of mine. It's like they should have gone all out to make this as perfect as possible to make up for the initial thing, so I'd keep buying.
Yeah.
But instead, they just wanted to antagonize me. Oh, if you didn't like the last order, watch this.
Yeah.
And so, it was really bad. And so we're going to see. We're going to see if it goes better this time. I'd love for it to go better. And if it does, I will say nice things about them, finally. But this is definitely going to be a mountain to climb over at the moment.
Buy with caution.
Yeah, you just never know what you're going to get. All right, so here is a question. I was trying to see if I didn't skip anything. Oh, by the way, some of you guys post pictures of what you're doing while you're watching the live stream. And this one guy was painting his room, and he had the TV, and you could see me on the screen. Yeah. And the whole room was like being painted, and there was tarps down and all that. I love seeing what you guys are doing. And also, all the customers that wanted to buy an anemone from me, I had them all send me a picture of their tank not to prove they have a tank. I just want to see their tank because you guys see mine. And I was like, well, show me your tank while we're doing this email thing. And so I got a chance to see several of your tanks this week, and that was really fun to do. And some people had like a brand new one; it was still dry, but the existing one's going next to it. Or a couple of people had full-blown reefs that have been going for 14 years.
Wow.
And it was kind of nice to see some of your tanks. So that's an added bonus to that silly project I came up with. So that was nice. All right. Yeah, somebody said a printing company that doesn't know how to print. All right, let's see. Jake says, is there a salt mix that doesn't leave crud in the mixing bin? There are certain brands of salt that are cleaner than others. I remember there was a brand of salt that I can talk about now because I'm pretty sure they don't exist. For a while there was a brand of salt called Oceanic. It was made here in Dallas, and it not only made the container turn completely brown, but it also, let me mute this for a second while I beat my dog. That's a joke. Okay, she's outside. I would never beat her. I just don't want her to bark during the stream. So that one made the brown container, but it also made brown foam on the surface, like this froth. And I was like, what is this stuff? And I tried several buckets, and I was like, nope, never again. There are some brands that will just kind of make a white on the inside of your container because of the calcification and the alkalinity of things mixing, and that's just part of making salt water. There are others that will leave some real serious sediment. I think Tropic Marin probably mixes really, really clean. I never had any weird experiences with Fritz. That seemed to be really clean. I use Aqua Vitro, and I fill a giant container to make 265 gallons of water, and I clean it once a year, and there's usually something in the bottom, but it flushes out. So it's not like I'm building like a sand bed of crud. So I don't know what brand you're using, but perhaps you're gonna, like, maybe that's why you're asking this question, like what other brand could I use? So there's just a few off the top of my head that I think are acceptables. Do you have a tanker right now, or no. Not? You had one in the past.
I did, yeah.
And then you got into photography and said, I can't spend money on fishing corals anymore.
The tank crashed when I moved, so I just never set it back up.
I see. Okay.
And then started focusing more on photography.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And lawns. My lawn.
Did you have a certain salt back then that you liked?
Salinity is what I used.
Yeah, that's what I'm using.
Yeah. I loved it. Yeah.
All right. Let's see.
14 years. I used it for
Yeah. DC says, do you ship coral airport hub to airport hub during the summertime? Well, I don't sell livestock for a living, so I ship ground all the time. And I don't deal with the whole airport stuff and cargo and all that. And the few times where I've been involved in a cargo shipment, it was such a pain. And the fish store owner by me, Frank's Tanks, he would have to like go up to DFW airport to go pick up his order in the middle of the night. Like it shows up. He won't even know when it gets here, and then it's like, oh, they're here, and he has to rush there. Or he goes there and it doesn't show. Like, oh, we didn't put it on the plane. There wasn't enough room. It'll be on the next one at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And so store owners go through this all the time. We as consumers don't even know.
No, yeah.
And we're just like, oh, I want to buy a coral. Oh, I like this fish. But they have to go to the airport and get their order because it's the most economical for the store versus having delivered to the door. And then once they get to the store, they have to acclimate everything. And imagine, 5 or 6 or 9 boxes of livestock that you've got to deal with coral and fish and invertebrates and cleanup crews. All that stuff has to go in all different containers and all has to be dripped or acclimated, it has to be dipped or whatever is going on and move into all the different systems. It's a whole ordeal. And it's even worse when you don't have it arrive when it's supposed to.
Stress and all the good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, Reef Dude says Brightwell. I didn't realize Brightwell had a brand of salt. I must be completely out of the loop. I know I have a million bottles. Yeah, Tropic Marin Pro I'd mentioned. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. And I hope you enjoyed this session about photography and it answered some questions. Maybe it was just way over your head and 90% of it didn't matter to you at all. But I thought it'd be a good thing to talk about because some of you actually do have nice cameras tucked away on a shelf and you just haven't used it in years because it's a hassle factor. The one thing I can wrap up this whole conversation with when it comes to photography that's super important is to always have your battery charged up. Because the worst you can do is have something going on in your life and you grab the camera and it's a dead battery. So you want to make sure that you have a charged battery. And I remember in the old days, people say, I'd take a picture, my battery was dead. And I was like, why is your battery not charged? I mean, we charge our phones, we charge everything.
Big one for me is it's better to get a grainy picture than a blurry picture.
Yeah.
So I don't like grainy pictures, but I don't like blurry pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny when people share like 46 pictures of, they went to the lake.
Yeah.
And they dump it to Facebook. And there's like 4 completely blurry shots included. I'm like, why did you even share those? I mean, you literally can pick what you're adding. Or you could see what upload and hit delete, 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 and they just leave it. I'm like, all right. So it's funny that, that kind of thing happens. Or that people post a very blue picture and then say, can you help me? And we're like, we can't see anything.
I used to edit. People would post pictures of their acros and stuff like that, and I used to edit everything for them.
Yeah, and send it back to them.
Well, without them asking, I would just do it, and they'd get pissed.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? Was my picture not good? I'm like, no, I'm just helping you.
Yeah.
That's how I started learning more about, editing and pictures and light spectrums.
I used to grab people's pictures off their threads on Reef Central, and I would drag into Photoshop, and I would erase the power heads and the heaters and the cords. Yeah, no, and I'd fix the color, and I'd make the black blacker, and I'd upload, say, here's your tank. I'm like, wow, my tank looks great.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you got rid of all the garbage that ruins the shot. So, yeah, editing's fun. It's really nice. Yep. I may have another guest on the stream next Saturday, so that is something for you guys to think about and ponder and wonder, who could it be? But I really appreciate you guys tuned in. Remember, today is Water Test Saturday. That means you are supposed to test your tank for everything, because water tests save lives, and we want to make sure we do that. So actually, I didn't share any Caitlin stories with you this week, and I said I would do something small. So I made a little list here of things that came to my mind. And okay, so one of the things that was really cute when she moved in that I didn't expect was, when you buy a loaf of bread or you get bagels or, the hamburger buns or whatever, they have this plastic tab on the packet. They twist it and they put the tab. Yeah. And when I open a package, the first thing I do is throw away the tab. And she's like, where's the tab? And I said, I threw it away. And she said, we need it. I said, no, we don't. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, you just do this. And I twist the bread so it's twisted, and I just fold the plastic under and I set it on the shelf.
Who doesn't do that?
Well, I've been doing this forever. And she's like, no, we need the tab. I'm like, but this does it. And she's like, don't throw away the tab. So I had to modify my system a little bit with her by putting the tab on there, or letting her keep it. Yeah. And it is, but no, forever. I mean, you take the tab off, you toss it, you twist, you put it under, and you put the loaf of bread. I've never had bread go bad. I've never had bread, get dry. It works perfectly. I mean, it's a plastic bag, but that was a funny one. I wanted that's my little anecdote for this week. So for those of you guys that sent me messages about her, I really appreciate it. She is dearly missed. Thanks, guys, and we will see you again next week. Bye.